Give me a second. Can I share?
Wait. All right, welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. We are getting ready to rock and roll. Let me actually post up in a second. All righty. Let's get a couple shares here across the board. Anyone want to share either, I don't know, Christmas or best vector train moment? Let's go to Adrian.
Yeah, so as per usual, got paired up with Jonathan, and what he wants for Christmas is a matching PJ set.
Nice. I would like one of those as well.
Yeah.
Here for it. All right. Let's go to Anthony Marino.
All right, so mine was like Chloe, and her Christmas gift can be a taser. That's what she's asking for, a taser.
Hey, not bad. 2020. You never know, man. All right, Audrey.
I got paired up with Tyler and Nick, and Nick Dana wants a girlfriend for Christmas.
Any takers? Anyone?
Nick, right. I feel bad for you, but no.
It'd be a Christmas miracle.
Next time, Nick. Here.
No, hold on a minute. I just got exposed. Hello?
Well, we can't see you, man, so no one knows what you look like.
Hold on a minute. I got you. Hold on.
All right. Let's have one more share. Nick here. Oh, that's what we don't want to see. You guys are in the car. Yeah, don't turn on your camera. All right. We'll do one more share. Let's go to Nick Hernandez.
All right, so Rochelle was telling me that her heart's desire is to get some pens for Christmas. So,
who wants pens for Christmas?
Rochelle.
That's such a Rochelle gift. Some pens, some really nice pens, I bet. Do you have some pens in mind, Rochelle?
I said like overall school supplies and pens that just write nice. I like that.
It's like when you get like you're younger and you like get a pair of socks and you're like, oh, what the heck socks? And then you're older, you're like, socks. Oh yeah, I needed some of these when you're in school and college. It's funny how that changes a little bit. All right, well, thanks for sharing, guys. We're gonna go ahead and get locked and loaded and kick things off today. I want to welcome you all. It is Saturday, December 12th, and welcome to our 5th TLA Prep of this year. This is the last TLA Prep of the year. And I'm excited to be able to spend Saturday with you all here until at least 2 p.m. here today. And then Miami, we got our holiday party. I think some of you guys have some stuff like that going on, respectively, across the division here today. But want to welcome you all and kick things off for today. For anyone that's new, that's hopping on here, we want to welcome you all to our TLA class of 2021. Really what we've been talking about all year round is how we develop leaders and how we develop five-star college recruits. Whether that is through their skill set and experience over the course of the time working with us, whether that is with their income, creating more 100K earners and 100K savers throughout the college years. We want to have a human trophy case of all the people that have been able to work with us and accomplish some of those goals. And there's a lot of people on this call that have already done that, 100K earners. And then there's a good amount of y'all that are on your way to being 100K savers here on this call too. I think that's part of the capacity of what helps develop five-star recruits. And as everyone knows in TLA, we have this set up to really help develop you all in a way that you are developing skills around things like time management, money management, energy, people, and self. And we'll talk about it a little bit, but that's exactly what we've done this fall. And I want to let you know that we're continuing to build inside of the division. Just so you guys know, there's going to be 20 to 30 assistant manager and assistant manager intern promotions that will happen at our VCA's event. And some of you all, you're finishing up your first track here on the Cutco through college track, which really, usually involves selling or earning a spot into TLA for your first summer. That is always the first step, is actually earning a spot. And all of you have done that. Think about it this way, how many representatives there are across the division. Like, just think about how many people have worked with us in the past, like up and down the division. It's almost 2,000 different representatives have probably started working with us in the past, 9 months. And, y'all are the 30 people that are on this call right now. And I know we're missing a couple people, but you should feel good with where you're at. And I want to give you guys some confidence too, as it's really, really exciting to see a lot of you all getting ready to open up your first office with the company as a branch or district manager. Man, I think back to my first summer as a branch manager. One of the most fun, exciting summers. One of the most, like, not one of the most probably big growth jump I've ever taken. We call it taking the leap for a reason, and it's really exciting to see so many people gearing up and getting ready to do that. We got some people going out and preparing to run their second branch. And then some people will go out and run a branch this summer and decide they want to go into more of a full-time selling route. But there's no coincidence that even all of our great CSPs and sales performers have ran a branch at one point or another because of the leadership experience and the self-development that comes from that too as well. So I want to kick things off today by just getting a little bit of around the horn. Just have 2 or 3 people share. What do you appreciate? And yesterday, I won't spend too much time talking about this, but yesterday we had a little bit of time to talk about this in NLG that like why gratitude is important. This is a time and season where gratitude is important. And I think gratitude is important, by the way. It doesn't have to be a holiday or Thanksgiving or, Christmas or Hanukkah or something like that to be grateful. But really when we're grateful, we're operating from higher brain waves. We are operating in a state of we're really perfectly tuned up to be able to receive. That's, by the way, why we start our meetings with gratitude, because when you're grateful, you're literally saying thank you and you're accepting like help, right? You're open to receiving. And if you can come to meetings and life and your day to day by being open to receiving, you'll be a lot better off. And it's good always to be able to start in that place. So I want to have a couple people share. What do you on the Saturday morning, finishing up school? What do y'all appreciate here? Let's have 2 or 3 people share, and then we'll kick off into the meeting. Rob, what do you appreciate, man?
I appreciate being in these meetings here today. I get to run a second SMRA training before going out this year, so getting a lot of practice there. So appreciate the learning opportunities here.
Yes, sir. Getting in there and doing it the right way. You've done it before, so you know what to do. And know how important the winter break can be for that extra level of practice or training before going out one summer to the next. Let's get one more person to share, or 2 more. Let's get a lady. Who wants to share? What do you appreciate? Yeah, Rochelle.
So I appreciate, I would say, good friends and like meaningful, uplifting conversations.
Yeah. Anyone had some good friends or some meaningful, uplifting conversations the past couple of days? Cool. Good. Means you guys got some good crew. Adrian, you want to cap us off, or Elizabeth, you raising your hand? Or you raising your hand to say you had some good friends? Good conversation.
Oh, I mean, I can go. Yeah.
You got it.
I got it?
Yeah, you got it.
Cool. I just wanted to appreciate Rob for running us more training today.
Yeah, taking the heat there and giving some support to our branch team. Thank you, Roberto. Well, we'll go ahead and get things kicked off, guys. I don't think I need to remind everyone of this, but for today, just make sure, again, there's a couple people that cameras are off. If your camera's off, I'm going to give you like another minute, and then I'm going to kick you out of the meeting. But just make sure as we're taking today, you guys know the drill. Be 100% engaged. And again, this is our last TLA prep of the year. So really, as you guys go into this, a lot of you all, there's a couple of you all, probably like 10% of you all are still like, got a couple lingering finals, but most of you all are done. You're in the clear. It is over. You've made it out of the semester. And sometimes it's hard, especially if you're just coming out of like school exam mode. I know it can be hard to be in a meeting like this on a Saturday and be 100% engaged, but that's what I'm going to ask of you all today to really get the most out of the meetings. You know, you guys have to keep in mind that the people that are going to go out this summer, this is like sales rep training. You know, we say the same thing. We show big paychecks in the sales rep training and say, hey, this is the potential that you have. Everyone that you see right here went through the exact same training you're going to go through the next 2 days. Nothing is different. It's the exact same training somewhere. The only thing that's different is going to be your level of engagement. How much you actually participate, how many notes are you actually taking, how diligent are you about taking in that information. And leaders that are 100% engaged, they seek best practices, which means not, finding a way to get some recommendations, but making sure you get to have the best practices for recommendations, or what is searching for that best practice method as you go about doing things. So you're looking for the easiest way or the best way to do stuff. Are you hungry for growth? Do you have some place to take notes and pen and paper? And are you seeking to get personal clarity? so you can make better decision making. I always think about Mike when I think about this, but just when you have personal clarity, it's easier to say yes to the things that you want to say yes to, and easier also to say no to the things that you want to say no to. When you don't have that personal clarity, making those decisions makes it a whole lot harder to get rolling here too. So as y'all know, we're going to use the TLA chat today to post light bulbs. So as we're going through opening comments, I'd like you guys to take some time and post some light bulbs into the chat as we actually go through and kick off here. But you guys know the drill. We're doing now what others won't. So what? Come on, you guys know this one. Yeah.
So we could.
Who was that?
Yeah, that's me.
What'd you say, Jonathan?
So we're doing what others want, so we can do what others can't, right? That's the saying.
That is the saying. Yeah, we just couldn't hear you on the first one. We are doing today what others won't. So tomorrow we can do what others can't. And really, quite frankly, we've done that, all throughout this past year. I really think, again, I think it's worth just repeating and saying again. I know you guys have seen this slide many times, but just the power of 1 year. And I think about, for so many of you all, where you were 1 year ago from today. Or 1 year ago from today. Think back to it. Where were you, like, financially, personally, mentally, relationship wise, skill set wise? What did your resume look like 1 year ago versus what it looks like today? And I think for the vast majority of the people in this group, you're in a much different spot. And I'll tell you guys, this is that is what radical transformation looks like. The power of 1 year. The thing is, I've just had the power of 1 year for 8 or 9 years straight, and it keeps compounding, and that momentum builds up, flywheel style, like good to great. That positive momentum continues to build up and get locked and loaded here too. So I'm actually going to send a quick message. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and ask if you're driving, like Tyler and Nick, you guys are going to have to hop off and hop back on when you guys are ready. If you're not in a place where you guys can do it. Same thing. If you guys don't have your cameras on, you all know the drill. You should know better than this at this point. One thing I do want to make sure that you guys take some time to do this year is, again, take some time to reflect for yourself, have some vision casting, and have some planning going into the next year. And last year was the theme of 2020. We always talked about what's your 2020 vision, and it was what we were talking about. Ironically, 2020 vision is having perfect 100% clear vision. That's kind of the opposite of what happened for most people this year. But I think it's really, really exciting and important to, as we go into 2021, we talked about last week, really taking some time to do some reflection for yourself. But I also am just curious to know, what is your vision? What is your vision for 2021 and beyond? What's your vision for yourself? Where are you literally 1 year from today? I want you guys actually to take a couple seconds, not a couple seconds, but a minute or two, and just journal real quickly. And I encourage you to do this a lot deeper by your own time. But I'd like you guys to jot down. Some of the guys, this is really clear for you and you already know, and some of y'all haven't really taken some time to think about this, but what's your vision for 2021? And inside of Kako and outside of Kako, what's your vision for yourself? What's your vision for your life? Where are you personally, professionally, financially, mentally? Where are you, physically, spiritually, 1 year from today? At the end of the next year, what has happened over the course of the year? What's your vision for 2021? I'll give you guys 2 minutes to go ahead and journal on this, and we're going to go ahead and pair and share a little bit before we get started. Your vision personally, professionally, financially. If you want, you can do it in the success. I don't have that. But faith, fun, finance, family, and life. Forward. Family, fun, health, finances, forward growth. Another way of doing it. So go ahead and pause. I'm going to put you in a breakout rooms, guys, and I encourage you to share real quickly. Pair up with a partner, share with them a little bit of what your vision is, and really practice some engaged listening here too, as you get a chance to hear from the other person. Because a lot of times someone else's vision for themselves can be inspiring for you. So we're going to go in one breakout room, and we'll come on back and we'll share. All right, I'm gonna have one or two people share. Either you can share with your group your vision for yourself next year, which, by the way, I think there is some power. Anytime you anytime you have a goal or something that's important to you, like sharing it publicly out loud with other people is always just a good habit and good skill. Like, Muhammad Ali told people he was the greatest fighter there's ever been before he became one of the greatest fighters there's ever been. Because when you speak it into existence, there's a little more accountability there versus when it's just a thought in your back of your head or a goal that you don't have to actually say out loud in front of other people. So if you want to share, feel compelled to share your own vision for yourself next year, or if you heard something that was inspiring from someone else or something that's good and you want to share here too. Adrian, is this real?
Yes, I only did that in the beginning. I wouldn't do that here. But yeah, I'm putting it out there. So my vision for 2021 is to be the #1 UDM in the Eastern region, competing for a Silver Cup. And I put why that is because I see myself just having a huge team filled with kick-ass reps that are driven, motivated, and hungry to grow.
Awesome. It's a good vision. And I would expand on that too, by the way. Like the second and third layers of that are like cool, the whys behind it. And like, okay, what does the vision look like, right? So what is like that kick-ass team look like? What's the culture of that team? What does being the #1 new district manager actually mean? What are you doing in that? What type of numbers are we talking about? What's the team environment, the culture, the vibe? Like, what are you building? And expand on that too. Thanks for sharing, Adrian. Love that. We're gonna be setting up a Silver Cup sweep here in 2021. Who's next? Who else wanted to share? Either or for themselves or for somebody else. That was inspiring to you. We'll do one more. All right, Rochelle, you want to chime in? Hey guys, we can't have the same people share the whole day. Rochelle, you got it.
I don't mean to, but so I loved what Jelsa said, and she was saying she's about to turn 18, so she's going to get a credit card. And I think that's a really awesome step because finances is something that I really want to work on too. And also like just having a good time management skills consistently to have the lifestyle that you want.
Love that. Developing the right habits here early. So gang, I encourage you to keep tapping into that and really think about what if this didn't come easy to you, then spend a little time thinking about before the end of the year, like what is my vision for next year? Really what I want to create for myself. And I had you guys start off today by doing some vector train moments Honestly, guys, it's been a pretty wild ride in year. And I want to I think about you all have seen Karate Kid before, right? Mr. Miyagi, you know what I'm talking about? And he does the old version, or I guess both of them are the same thing. But you know, the old school movie is he's there, he's having to do all this stuff, clean his car, wax on, wax off, clean the fence, right? And then at the end, after doing that for a couple of months, he's like, you know, screw this, you haven't taught me anything about karate. Like, this has been a waste of time. Like, what on earth? Like, why am I still doing this? And then he starts hitting him. And he's just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And he just knows what to do. His body kind of knows what to do because he's been doing it. And he didn't really, it's the epiphany there is like, it's like, hey, he's been getting trained the whole entire time. The small things that he's been doing on a daily basis have added up to his training. And now it has prepared him for that actual moment. And so for you all, like, we've been doing this for quite a while. It's been 5 TLA preps. It's been a couple months. And I think everyone can say, hey, like, yeah, I've learned a good bit. But like, I really think it's exciting just to think back, like, look, like, this is just some of the stuff that we've covered this year. You know, this is just like, this is only a portion of the TLA topics that we've gone through. We've gone through journaling. We've gone through energy and state management. We've gone through coaching and skills, presence cultivation, money management, and finances. How to invest is what we're covering today. Your golden number, how to save, how to expense, how to budget sheet, leadership and influence skills, how to develop social media proficiency in the growing social media world, employee management, fundamentals in starting a business, guerrilla marketing, Zoom skills, spreadsheet skills, time management skills, and a whole lot more than just that. And, you know, I can honestly say too, if that list, if you graduated college and you had all those things really, really at a high performing level, you would be set up really, really, really well. I think to have a lot of success for yourself beyond there too. And that's just a little bit of what we covered this year. And I think that's really, really exciting. And I also want you guys to think about really, what is your 2021 opportunity that you have in front of yourself? You know, this is what we did in 2020, and what are you taking and learning and bringing with you into 2021? What makes the list of things that, you know, are strengths that you're taking with you into 2021? And where are the weaknesses in the areas of opportunity where you can really dive in over the actual break and get some experience and set yourself up for phenomenal opportunities at branch, district, assistant, FSM. We have lots of opportunities that are growing in the division, but what's your 2021 opportunity that you're most excited about really creating the opportunity for yourself? We talked about in our NLG session, we just finished reading a book called Good to Great, and it talks about something called the Stockdale paradox, which we've talked about before, which is the idea that essentially Stockdale was a prisoner of war, and they got imprisoned into a camps, and they were there for over 2 years. Not everybody made it out, but some of the prisoners made it out after being captured for over 2 years, being prisoners. And they asked and interviewed the guy at the end of it. They said, well, who didn't make it out? Like, who didn't make it alive? He's like, oh, that's easy. All the optimists. And they're like, what? And then he's like, because you think, you know, naturally, like, all right, people that are more optimistic are the ones that had a better shot making it through. And he's like, well, no, it's the people that were like overly optimistic. Like, you know, they weren't really attached to reality. The people that said, hey, we'll be out by Thanksgiving. And then Thanksgiving came around, they weren't out. And then he said, we'll be out by December or Christmas. And then Christmas came around and they weren't out. We'll be out by Easter. Easter rolled around, they still weren't out. Then Thanksgiving came around another year, and their hearts just really couldn't take and handle it anymore. And they didn't make it through, you know? So, and I think the lesson there is to really navigate, especially adversity and tough times. You have to have a healthy attachment to reality and also a willpower and positivity to be able to carry you through, you know? So it's not just like one or the other, but I think about, hey, too, going into next year, guys, like, things could get crazier next year. I told NLG, I was like, I am mentally prepared for things to be a lot more chaotic in terms of the world in 2021 than they ever were in 2020, mentally. Now, I don't hope that happens, but I'm mentally prepared of like, hey, things could go crazy and haywire, and we're still going to kick ass as a team, you know, because then, by the way, if things do happen like that, we're going to be a lot more better prepared and set up and poised, because we're like, yeah, that's great. We knew stuff was going to happen this year, but we already know what we're here to do, you know, and that's the mentality that you can go into it with and really think about what is your 2021 opportunity, despite what's coming in the way in your path. What can you be doing next year to really set yourself up? We have a jam-packed agenda set up for today. After I finish opening comments, we're going to dive right into some first weekend coaching and 10-day walkthrough, which gets a little bit more fun into the sales rep management stuff. This is a good opportunity for a lot of you guys over the break. You're going to be coaching representatives for really the first time that you've ever actually had the opportunity to. So just diving a little bit back in and learn those skills. We're going to review just interviewing keys to hiring SMRAs today as part of our SMRA program. We're also going to go over some cool tech stuff. So or maybe not cool, but like some good stuff for you all to learn. I'll tell you guys right now, the most valuable class that I took in college was actually like I didn't have any intentions, or it was just a required class, but it was the CGS spreadsheets class. And knowing how to use Google spreadsheets helped out quite a bit this summer. So I'm going to give you guys a little tutorial today on how to use Google spreadsheets and get a little bit more organized and confident with that. It is not one of those things where like, look, if you know how to use Google spreadsheets well, it doesn't mean you're going to run a good office. Also doesn't mean you're going to run a bad office if you can't. But there's a level of organization that this will really help you with if you are a little bit more proficient. So we'll spend some time going over that. We're going to go do a walkthrough of Q sales team today and really how to use that to drive sales. We're going to do a little PR quiz as we walk through our PR program. We're going to go over some social media proficiency. Jonathan's just going to walk us through to prep us for the spring, how to really set up a kick-ass social media profile. And then we're going to go over the last section of get your financial stuff together, module 4 with Rachel Richards. And that one's gonna be fun today because she's gonna start talking about investing and some other good stuff here too. And we'll wrap up here as well. But here's my last few thoughts before we kind of close things off for opening comments. For all of you all that are getting ready to go out there and run an office, I really want to remind you guys of what the purpose of doing that is. The objectives of branch, are really just two things. It's to get experience and profit potential. You do it really for the experience and opportunity to develop your own skill set. And then you also do it because there's the potential to make a lot of profit and a lot of income off the opportunity during the summertime. Your first time as a branch, you're really building a business. Second time, you grow it. Third time, if you do a Mason linker, you're learning how to scale out that business. And we're going to go from 4 offices next year to almost 21 new offices deployed. There's a lot of new opportunities, and again, territory decisions are going to come out in January. So this is really your opportunity to go out there and make a statement. And I'll tell you guys what, right now, some of you all, like, you're not in the best spots and standings. Some of you guys have been kicking ass, leading the whole way. Some of you all, like, this is your opportunity to recover a little bit over the next couple of weeks as you're out of school now, getting back involved. And it's been exciting to see some of you all already make some big jumps and big moves in order to do that. But I want to let you guys know, again, people that are funded and trained will have opportunities for next summer. We have opportunities up and down the region, and it's going to be exciting to spread a little bit of Florida Coast Heat influence in some other divisions as well as this summer. And I also want to let you guys know too that, like, for some of you on this call, you're not going to branch next summer. You're not going to district. And I also want to let you know, for even the ones that are branching in district, are becoming district managers, a really big opportunity that we have in our division right now is just to develop more field sales managers, or FSMs, people that are selling at 50% commission level. And I'll tell you what, you guys can make a lot of money as a branch manager during the summertime, but we have thousands of people in our company each and every single year that make more money than branches by just being a full-time sales rep, selling 60, 70, 80 grand during the summertime, making a 50% commission, and really rocking and rolling that. That is what, that was the premier opportunity before branch, was being able to sell as an FSM. And sometimes, by the way, people love working with teams a little bit more. And some of you all have a little bit more independence and autonomy, and you like working with clients and customers, and it can be a cool opportunity and vehicle for you to explore. But you got to make sure, again, to ever get to that point, you're developing sustainable skill set habits. And the last thing that, kind of to tee things up today, guys, there's only 42 days. It's the next 42 days. And I would write down now till VCAs. Now till VCAs. For those of you guys that have not been, the VCAs is our Vector Cutco Awards night. That will be virtual this year. But so it won't be really an awards night. It will be more like a little awards day. That will take place on a Saturday. And it's actually, if you guys want the dates for it, we're going to go ahead and do some signups a little bit later today. But January 23rd is our VCA's event, and we'll have a boot camp the day before. So it's 10 to 2 on the 23rd. 10 to 12 is the first 2 hours is for your parents and our branch managers, doing some recognition, promotion, all the people that are getting promoted to branch and district managers. So that's the first section. The second section is for all of our, is the recognition for our branches and district managers and sales rep performance from this past year. So the first half is like promotions, and the second half is recognition of performance this past year, Silver Cup awards, Hall of Fame, Rolexes, all that good stuff is given out. So your parents should definitely hop on for the first, section where you're being recognized. And if they want to stay on afterwards to watch the rest of the team, I think it's always good if they can see a little bit of that. Just seeing some of the success. If you're in the Tampa office, letting them see kind of some of the success that you guys have had this year and what your team's doing, I think is always exciting to be able to do. But that's what's coming up. For the next 42 days, though, what's the game plan? And I love the winter break time. This is my favorite time of year by far. And part of that is because right now it's really, this is our dress rehearsal. The winter break is our dress rehearsal. This is our opportunity to go out there and give it a little bit of a test run. And by the way, sometimes on dress rehearsals, like if you've ever been in like, I don't know, a high school play or something like that, or a show, like dress rehearsals sometimes go really well. Sometimes they go awful. And it's just like a crash and burn. And it's a complete disaster and mess. Either way, that dress rehearsal is still a good idea to do because it gives you a chance. Like if it goes awful, it's like, gosh, thank goodness, that it went crash and burn and we had this dress rehearsal, because I didn't want to do this in front of all my family and friends and all the audience the first opening night. This would be the most embarrassing thing in the world if that happened. And also, sometimes that dress rehearsal can be like, damn, we are going to kill it tomorrow. We got this. It's building up confidence. Either way, it is a good thing to do, and it doesn't matter whether the performance of the dress rehearsal is, but the idea of having one and having opportunity to get a test run. I also want to say that to give you guys, number one, really some confidence and some calmness around what you do over the winter break, knowing that, hey, it's okay to make mistakes, but it's not okay to actually go out there and play it full out. Go out there and give your best. If you did a high school dress rehearsal, the idea of the dress rehearsal is that you're not like half-assing it anymore. You're not kind of like doing it. If you're doing a dress rehearsal for a dance show, you're doing it 100% full out the exact same way that you would do it in front of an audience, versus sometimes when people are practicing, it's kind of like 70%. It's like, because you're a little bit more lenient if there's mistakes and things like that too, because you're practicing in the mode. But the dress rehearsal is a time for you to actually go out there, execute, run with it. If you make mistakes, it's all right, but you go 100%. You go all out. You don't do it half and say, well, it's going to be different when I actually perform. I'll work a little bit harder, or I'll do the dance full out when there's actually an audience in front of me. It's like, no, you need to give yourself a test run. And that's what this break is for a lot of you all. So keep calm. It's just a dress rehearsal. You can make mistakes. That's what this time period is for. But also you have to get in there. You have to work. You can't be like, well, I'm going to work harder once summer comes around. I'll have a lot better habits and be more focused. You can't say, oh, well, that's all right. Well, I didn't really try when I ran these SMR interviews, or these aren't really my reps. I'll care more when they're my reps this summer. It's how you do one thing is how you do everything. And this is your chance to actually get in there, care and test and see before we actually get around to the actual summertime here too. So the next 42 days, it's all about getting in the office, getting skill set, getting practice where you can, watching a training, going out there, selling. You will have more confidence from selling. And my biggest thing that I want you guys to gain from today is really coming out of here with some confidence. For yourself. And we'll talk about that here in a second. Y'all have seen this quote before, by the way. And I think it was Jess brought this up yesterday, which is we've all heard this: culture eats strategy for lunch. But I think it's important to know what kind of culture beats strategy for lunch. And good to great, yesterday we were talking about the culture of discipline that needs to exist. And I'll tell you guys right now, the most important thing for me as a division manager going into next year is not how many offices we have, is not the performance level. It's not how much we sell over the winter break. Although I do think it's important that we have a culture of high standards of sales performance. The most important thing for me is the culture that this group has. That's why, by the way, I have a low tolerance for people that it's your 5th TLA prep and you're hopping on here with driving in a car. You guys know better than that. It's a 5th TLA prep of, hey, like with the culture of, hey, it starts at 9:55. It starts at 9:55, not 10:01, right? If the assignments due at 10 o'clock, it's just, hey, are you really being a true professional? Did you get it into me before 10 p.m. or did you send it to me at 10:06 p.m.? And I get the emails. I see the notifications. I see, all right, well, these people didn't really get it. Well, they got it in, but not really on time. They missed the deadline. In school, if you guys miss the exam period, miss the assignment deadline, do you guys get to submit it late? Not usually. You just get a 0 on that report, right? So it's really, are we developing a culture? And that's one of the most important things to me too. That's why you guys have a intangible score in your matrix score, because it's not just about the skill sets and things like that too. If you're going to join the branch manager team or our district manager table, these are the people that I'm spending a lot of time with working during the summertime. I have to make sure that they are honoring the culture, because all it takes is one person that is not in line with the Florida Coast Heat culture to really throw off the whole entire team. And remember, during this time, CPO is talk. CPO is what will give you confidence. CPO is what, like, going out and selling. If you're ever nervous about your skills, pick up the kit, go sell some Cutco. It will raise your skill set. It will give you more money. I mean, selling more is pretty much always the answer. Whenever you're in a tough place, usually most of those problems will be fixed by going out there and selling and getting some results and really developing sustainable habits. I talked about a little bit yesterday, guys, or not yesterday, but Wednesday, about abundant leadership and what that means, leaving people and places better than you found them, better than you found them. And this kind of goes back to what I said. I think we taught this the first or second TLA, which is just energetic leadership. Are you someone that is energy rich? That means, by the way, you're leaving people better than you found them. That means when people are around you, they're literally just better off just being around you. Or are you one of these people? Right? And people are a little worse off because they talked to you that day, or because you happened to Zoom, they performed a little bit worse, or because you walked into that office, the room and energy changed a little bit, right? How are you leading and influencing yourself and other people? A lot of y'all have gone through this and seen this one. We talked a lot about it. We haven't talked about it here in a little bit. And man, for some of you all, this D2 seems a little bit far away. There is lots of points. In fact, almost everyone here, at least one point in the semester, unless there's maybe a couple of y'all that are hitting this now. But for most of y'all, you're almost out of D2. I mean, this is the tail end of the phase. You're moving into D3, which is now you're starting to have some competence. Like, you kind of know a little bit what you're doing. We've gone over a lot of stuff this year. You've gotten a little bit of deeper understanding of how the business works, right? Your commitment might vary a little bit, but you're moving into some a little bit higher, competence. And by the way, during this is why we give you support during this time, right? This is how you're supposed to manage people as they're going through these phases. When someone's in D1, it's got to be a lot of directive behavior. Coaching is probably what we gave most of you all throughout the fall, right? Which is a little bit more coaching, and you got low competence, low commitment, and that's gonna be a lot of coaching. This is when we start to shift a little bit more into support. When you all go out and run branches in the office during the summertime, you're gonna not have someone telling you what to do at every second of every day. You'll notice, there was a little bit less probably PCs that happened in the division. Your managers probably weren't as on top of you of like, let me tell you what days you need to sell during the push. There's a little bit more autonomy and space. You guys know what to do. You know how to go out there and perform. You know what to do. You know how to create a schedule for yourself. You know how to actually go out there and create the results. You just need a little bit more support along the way. But this is kind of the phases that we're going through. And I also think it's good to see, to get a little idea of how far we've come. The last thing I want to leave you guys with today is really, we talked about this again yesterday in NLG, but it's the Olympic training mindset. When people are training for the Olympics, during you have the off season, the preseason, the actual Olympic season. Right. And after the Olympic season ends, they go right into the off season. And you want to know what most Olympians do as soon as the season ends and they start going into training for the off season? They spend that time working on their what? NLG, someone just share it.
Your weaknesses?
Spend that time working on their weaknesses. Our off season is our fall. Okay. That is the time where you really get a chance to work on your weaknesses. However, once the Olympic season gets closer, okay, any great athlete or Olympian, they don't even think about their weaknesses anymore. Their coach is not like, hey, you're still bad at this. Before, McGregor or Floyd, or I guess Logan Paul now gets in the rink, they're not telling them a week before the fight, like getting in their head and telling them all the shit they're bad at. Hey, you're terrible at this, Mayweather. Hey, you're really bad at this. This is going to mess you up in the fight. Like, no, they're doing the opposite of that. It's confidence building. There is a book by Brendan Bouchard, and it talks about one of the number one attribute when they interviewed all these different CEOs and sports performers and anyone that was a peak performer. The number one most consistent attribute was every single individual had a stellar level of confidence. Okay. There's a reason that we say confidence a million times in the sales rep training. We say, hey, reps that are confident selling, go out and sell, perform. Reps that don't go out and sell, perform. So my bidding to you is, as we start going and transitioning into the spring, what activities can you be doing that are building confidence for yourself? Can you focus on really building confidence as you go into now, really the preseason? And the winter breaks are really the last chance to kind of work on some weaknesses, practice some things. And after that, we want to focus on confidence. And there's a lot. We've taught so many different things. There's so many things that you can learn. There's so many things that you can be doing on a day-to-day basis. But there's elegance and simplicity, and really knowing what are the major objectives of each day. What are the drivers of the business, like PR setting, where, hey, I can do this activity, and even if I'm messing up other stuff, I'm still going to get results in my office, right? What are those activities? Because people that don't know those, by the way, they might work really, really hard. They're still working the same hours, but they're not doing the right things. They're actually creating the results in the actual business. If there's anything that's making you insecure during this time, it's time to work harder on those things. And confidence is typically found through taking more action. You gain confidence, you gain trust with yourself when you tell yourself you're going to do something and you actually follow through and you actually go out and do it. When you say, hey, I'm going to make 50 phone calls on a Sunday, and you don't make those 50 calls, you're breaking that trust and that commitment with yourself. When you do that, there's a feeling of relief and a feeling of, all right, I did that. Nice work, Andrew. I didn't really want to do that at all, but I did it anyways, and I'm developing confidence in myself that I'm able to do that. And I'm proving it to myself as I go. And also, the solution is almost always more communication. So during this time period, increase communication with your managers, increase communication with your circles of influence, increase communication with your family members and friends, during this time period. And the last thing I'll leave you guys with is, look, there's a lot of other divisions having the same meetings right now. We're going to let everyone else think about it, while we'll let everyone else go out and think about it while we just go out and simply do it. And you're from the Florida Coast Heat, and that should mean something, guys. And you should feel proud to be a part of this division and really what we're building here. So take a quick second. We're going to dive into the topics and materials for today. Take a quick second to post into the TLA chat. Just light bulbs as we're getting kicked off here this morning. We'll get ready to rock and roll and dive into the first topic for today. I don't have one or two people share. Light bulbs as we're getting started for you. Just personal light bulbs from anything that we're covering here in open-end comments. I'll have one or two people share. Let me get someone that hasn't shared yet to share. What's a light bulb for you? Ooh, do I need to call in something? We can't hear you at all, Jonathan.
Oh no, I was saying I think Leia just posted one to the chat. Anthony as well too.
Yep, I want to have a couple people share. Everyone, you guys take a quick second to post them up. But let me get a couple people to share. You want to share? Sorry, I muted you.
Okay. Yeah, what I really like, I know I hopped on late. I'm really sorry about that. But really just building confidence by being impeccable with your word. That's one of the things that I really took away from the 4 agreements. And I think it's just relevant in other aspects of life all over the place. Is just once you follow through with something, you're really going to be a lot more confident in yourself because you're going to trust yourself. If you don't end up doing it, then you're just going to feel a little worse about yourself. And that's going to happen over and over again.
Yep. And I also just share too, like this is to, Leah's point, this is a chance to build confidence in your habits. If there's a habit of, okay, I want to be more impeccable with my word. Cool. Well, this is the good chance. This is the next month to really actually practice that. If that's going to be a habit, if that's actually something you want to prove, there's a difference between knowledge and we can read all the books and have all the TLA preps, but the application is really what matters. Not do I know this, but am I doing this? So thanks for shining in, Leah. Let me, Jess, I can go to you, but I want to give someone else an opportunity to share here if I can. Someone else that hasn't shared yet, I will call on someone. Liz.
So I would say, again, you've mentioned discipline, beat strategy for lunch, like you mentioned that before, but really getting a little bit more deeper into that and saying the culture of discipline, like self-discipline, and then having that be a part of your team.
Yeah.
Being able to yourself.
Cool. Yeah. And I think, again, I remember, talking about that back, 2 years ago, like the culture we wanted to have with our sales reps in our office. Like that's when we created the locker room for the first time in our office, which is a physical room that we didn't let people walk into unless they were making at least 20 to 30 calls an hour. It was like someone, like a new rep try to walk in that room. I'm like, oh, no, don't go in there. They're like, wait, what do you mean? It's like, that's only for people that are actually going to crank out calls. Like you make like 5 calls an hour. So that room's not for you. We set standards. We want a culture. We want a culture of discipline. And it's like, where the culture speaks for itself. The managers don't need to tell people not to go in that room, because the reps are like, hey, if you're not going to focus in here, then get out of our room, because this is the room for like hardcore jammers. That's what we want to create. So thanks for chiming in, Liz. Guys, we're going to dive in, get out your notes ready to rock and roll. And if you don't have the agenda out, go ahead and take a quick second to do that. I'm going to walk you all through first weekend coaching in a 10-day walkthrough. I think for new reps, AMs, AMCs, AMIs, FSM candidates, this is really good. Just practice to know this is going to be like kind of not newer information, but we're going to spend a little bit more time walking through this. I think it's good for a lot of you all that have never, ever done any type of coaching before. This is going to give you a good foundation for how to do that. For my branches and districts on the call, a lot of this should be review, but I would take some a little bit more aggressive notes on it this time, so you can really use this and implement and use it as a guide over the winter break as we go through this, dress rehearsal. And PDI guys, like, look, PDI is our only opportunity to influence reps one-on-one. PDI is not, WhatsApp messages. That's not PDI. Okay. That is not influencing our representatives. PDI is not text. PDI is not voice apps. Okay. PDI is a live phone call conversation with someone. And when I grew up in the business, when I ran my second branch, literally a majority of my day went to PDI. Every single morning, what would happen is I'd get to the office before 8 a.m. for our Champions Club workshop. There'd be a number of sales reps in front of me. And from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. every morning, I called through my entire team and touched base with every single person on my team every single morning. That was PDI. It's building relationships. And that was when I was seeing people physically in person already on a pretty much every other day basis. I was calling and talking to them live on the phone. So especially in the virtual climate, when we don't even see representatives in person, when they're in training, when there's lower opportunities to get a one-on-one and strong connection with someone, live phone call relationship building and PDI is more important than it's ever been in our business before. I think about some of the people that were really performers last summer. That was something that was a lot different in their offices. They took PDI relationship building more seriously. I think about Alex Arias. She was on the call earlier, and I don't necessarily recommend this, but one thing Alex has done in the fall is she's been really busy with school and being a senior. Still, by the way, one of the top performing new district managers in the company, and one of the best in the region right now in terms of sales performance while around school at NYU. And typically I would say, hey, Alex's recruiting numbers probably should have been a little bit higher, but she's been doing some very light recruiting for the fall. Part of it's just because she's got a lot on her plate. However, she's done a really great job of the people that she does recruit. She really builds relationships with them, and they always sell and perform. She's had more, 5K, 6K, 10K reps than a lot of offices have this upcoming fall. And that's one thing I talked to her about. She's like, yeah, I just make sure, like, even if I only launch a couple people, I pretty much talk to at least each one of them for almost an hour their first week. And I have like a 45-minute to 50-minute phone call where I'm getting to know them and just diving in and building a little more confidence, with them. And really building a relationship with those people. That's why, again, by the way, people quit managers, not jobs. People quit managers, not jobs, right? When people have a strong relationship with somebody, they don't usually quit very often. When people don't have a strong relationship, they usually do quit because there's not really anything. There's no reason. There's nothing holding them down there to stay. They don't have a connection or a strong relationship with anyone in that organization that really matters. So there is no reason that they would stay around if they don't have a desire to. So it's all about but can you build more relationships with your people on PDI, number one? And I'm not, by the way, suggesting like if you're launching 10 reps, you're not going to be able to talk to them all for an hour, right? But maybe there's a couple of people that you're intentional again about getting daily influence with your people and really connecting with them and building a long-term relationship, especially when you're not running the training seminar, I think is more important than ever before. And know that you've got to be providing some value too. I show you guys this slide, but like it's the funniest thing I ever hear is when like branches or AMs are like, my reps won't call. And it's like, yeah, I know. They're like, I don't know why they won't call. They just don't follow directions. I'm like, that's not why they're not calling. They're not calling because they don't want to talk to you. They don't get value from your calls, right? My favorite thing would be when I would have an assistant manager team. We'd be doing a rep breakdown. And they're like, oh, I don't know. I haven't heard from that person. I think that person quit. And they're like, did they really? And they're like, yeah, they haven't responded to me in like a week. And it's like, have you tried calling them? It's like, yeah, I called them a couple of days ago. It's like, call them right now. They don't answer. And I'm like, hey, so-and-so. I'm like, Adrian, you give them a call. Hey, what's up, buddy? You know, like answers right away. Okay. And it's like, it's not because they're not available. It's because they don't want to take your calls, you know, because when you talk to them, it's the same thing every single time. You don't provide them value or leadership. So PDI really is our opportunity to influence our representatives. I think it's important for number one, and this is where you're going to want to take some pretty aggressive note taking, because I'm going to go through these slides pretty quickly. Okay. You got to know what we teach in training. You got to be on the same page. You got to be speaking the same lingo. You know, representatives that have success is because they hear the same thing in the PR script. They hear the same thing in the interview. They hear the same thing in training. And they hear the same thing in coaching and PDI. All right. Reps have to hear things 5 times before it usually gets into their head. I'll write that down. Usually representatives need to hear things 4 to 5 times before they actually even start thinking about doing it. You know, so are they hearing things 4 to 5 times? Or are they hearing it explained one way in the interview, then they get to training, they hear it one way explained by Mike or Eddie, then they get on a phone call with you and you're kind of saying the same thing, but it's a different thing. Okay. That just is going to confuse the representative. They're probably not going to have a lot of success with any of them because they're hearing different things versus the same thing over and over and over again being drilled into them and really giving that confidence. So you got to know what we teach in training, which we teach 3 things. And that is they call in from the demo at the Homemaker set. They call afterwards for a coaching call where we can debrief, talk about what happened, what went well, what they got some confidence from, what they can continue to work on, and then daily check-ins in the actual morning. That's what we teach in training. So you want to know that, number 1. Number 2, I want to give you guys a quick framework. All of y'all have heard this before, but SEED. Okay, this is the easiest way just to kind of understand how most of your PDI calls should go. Connect, excite, events, demos. That's it. Okay, connect. That's the first step, is connect. And I think it's really important to genuinely connect with people. You know, like I always, you know, one of the things that I love doing during the summertime is like, I'll just call reps randomly, you know, just to connect with them. I have no other intentions other than like, I just want to call them and just check in with them and see how they're doing. But it's funny because representatives, when they're in the mode, you know, I'll call them and I'll be like, you know, hey, Justice, how's it going? How's your day going? And they're like, oh, good. Well, I have 4 demos today and I did this one and this is the result of this one. And then I'm going to make some phone calls later. I was like, okay. And how are you doing? You know, that gets the first thing they say. They're like, well, here's all my sales updates. And I'm like, no. Like, how are you like doing? Like how, like in general, like things all right? Like, and just being a chance to like actually connect with people, like genuinely connect with them. Maybe it doesn't need to be for 10 minutes or an hour-long phone call, but can you spend like a minute just kind of connecting with them and building a relationship before you ever start the call? I promise those of you all that are good and prioritize actually connecting with people before you go into the, hey, when's a team meeting, blah, 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 and start hitting them with all the stuff, you know, you're going to have a lot more success with your ability to influence those people and also just the long-term success of that sales rep when you build a relationship with them. So first step is to connect. Second step is to excite. And that is called the art of promotion. That is just your ability to promote whatever it is the heck you're promoting. That's selling. This is where you sell whatever you probably need to sell on that call. You know, everything is selling. It's selling is influence. That's a transfer of enthusiasm. And that's what you're trying to do in this moment too. You're trying to transfer the enthusiasm that you have into that sales rep. You're trying to get them excited. You're trying to make some sort of sale. And that really depends on what it is. Sometimes you might want to get them excited about their next demo. Sometimes it's excited about getting them excited about the team meeting or the conference or the SLDM with Andrew that they're going to have on Tuesday, or getting them excited about going for a big week, getting them excited about being a team builder, getting them excited about hitting Puerto Rico, getting them excited about the list go, you know, selling $4,000 in a day, you know, getting 20 recommendations on the next appointment, whatever it is, you know, Champions Club, Alliance meetings, but pretty much every call, one of your objectives is probably to get them excited about something that's coming up soon. Okay. There's probably something that you're promoting. And as managers, by the way, this is why it's good to get good at promoting. I'll send Jonathan, you want to send the art of promotion video into the group chat? You can post that to TLA. That's just a great video for people to watch on how to promote things. And that's the thing, same thing, guys. Once you know how to promote, it doesn't really matter what it is. Like you could change it to I'm promoting SE2, SE1, SLDM, you know, hitting dirty 30, going big in your fast start. Like we're always promoting, okay, different things. And by the way, most leadership roles, you're always promoting something, you know, but just being able to do that well. Again, connect, excite. The events, okay, would be like, hey, what events are coming up? And there's always an event. If you can just get the sales rep to the next event, they'll be around. If they miss events, they usually don't stay around very long. So whether you're getting to the next conference, making sure they are in advanced training, getting them to the team meeting, getting them to the Sunday peg check meeting. If you get a representative to all their events in their first 10 days, they're generally going to be a long lasting, sustainable, successful sales rep. If they miss things in their first week, they generally speaking will not be a long-term, sustainable, successful sales rep. And we always have adjustments. We can always, work around certain things, and not everyone's schedule is perfect, but just know that, hey, like, you're doing your reps a disservice by letting them not come to things, events, because we know that they probably won't be as successful with the role. They don't know that. They think they're going to be fine. We know that, so it's our job and duty and responsibility as a manager is to make the sales when we need to and get our reps in front of us to events. And then the last thing is demos. In my mind, it's not a good PDI call if there wasn't something that was done. Sometimes I talk to managers, oh, how's your day going? Good. PDI has been really great today. It's like, nice. Like, what have you done? Well, I just talked to the whole team. Cool. How many demos did you create? Oh, no, I just talked to everybody. It's like, okay, cool. The objective PDI is not just to talk to people. We don't just call the whole team just to be like, check. All right, the whole team talked to you. I'm glad I spoke to them today. We want to actually influence, which means we're probably causing and creating actions. And just know that your job as a manager, guys, is you want to build a relationship with them, but your job is not to be their friend. Your job is to make them successful at the position and the role. That's your job. That's your responsibility. That's your duty, is to make sure they have success. They started the job, they went through training because they thought they were going to experience some financial success and get some professional experience from this job. If you're not providing that as a manager, you're not doing your job. You're doing them a disservice. Okay. If you let a representative come to the team meeting unprepared with anyone to call, and they're going to have no demos booked up, and they're going to leave team meeting with 4 demos booked up, they ain't going to make a lot of money that week. And that's your duty and responsibility as a manager, is to make sure that they're having success with the role. So one of the things is, like, you should talk to every single rep, every single meeting you run, demos. How many demos you have for today? How many demos you have for tomorrow? How many demos you have for the next day? Live, eat, breathe, and sleep inside of that 3-day window. Every single time I talk to a rep, it's like, how many demos you have for tomorrow? How many you have the next day? How many you have for the day after that? And living in that 3-day window, and always saying, hey, cool, like finding ways where you can either inspire them, excite them, get them to a champions club, or get them on the phone. So you can actually say, hey, I did PDI this morning and I created 20 demos, right? And he's going to walk us through how to use Q sales team later today to drive your sales performance. And just knowing how to use that can be a helpful step in that actual process of, like, saying, hey, be able to go on Q. We've got 20 demos for the day. Our goal is 4K. So we need to get at least 20 more demos to get a 4K day on the board. So we have 40 demos, 100 demo average. We'll sell $4,000 today, but we need 20 more demos booked up, and we only have 20 right now. Cool. Well, I'm running a little champions club with 4 or 5 people. If I can get them to all book up, 2 demos, that's 10 right there, but I got to create another 10 from the team. So when I'm on PDI this morning, my mission is to create 10 demos, and I'm not everyone's going to create demos. Some people are going to have a full schedule. But I'm going to talk to some people that, like, hey, your goal's 4 today. You got 1. Can we get some extra demos booked up? Your job as a manager is to help them hit their goals. Your authority, responsibility, duty is to hold them accountable to the goals that they want for themselves. Now, if they don't want to hit a goal, that's fine. Your job is not to give them goals that they don't want to hit. Okay. Your job is not to, and I know sometimes I've done that too. Okay. Sometimes as managers, it's like, they're like, I want to do 10 demos a week. It's like, all right, are you sure you don't want to do 15? Like we like push our people into that too. But our job is to, and again, sometimes that's needed, right? Sometimes people do need a little bit of push, but our job is really to help them hit the goals that they want to hit, and that's, and by the way, I'll just tell you guys, you can have a great coaching conversation with them. They don't got demos in front of them. It doesn't matter. Like, that's why people tell people Advanced Training 1. Advanced Training 1 is great. We teach some great stuff in Advanced Training 1. If they don't leave AT1 with demos though, what does it matter? Literally nothing you taught them matters, because they're not going to go out. They don't have appointments to do presentations with. They're not going to they're not going to make any money because they don't have demos in front of them. So just knowing, okay, cool. Demos is always the most important thing. Am I creating demos for my conversations? Are phone jams happening and more demos booked because I had influence in conversations when I was speaking to people too? And just know that too. That's like the best thing you can do as a manager to support them in that success. They will always sell more because they have more demos, not because you taught them, some extra fire little tip. And really there's a couple big, like, we want to do daily PDI. It is personal daily interaction. We want to have daily influence over our representatives during this actual time period. But there's a couple of different benchmarked PDIs, which we have first weekend, and I write these down. First weekend, Tuesday, Friday, and then we have daily, just ongoing PDI sessions. So first weekend, Tuesday PDI, and Friday. These are the benchmark ones, meaning these are the ones that it is a specific time in your schedule each week. You have a 2-hour window to do Tuesday PDI. You have a 2-hour window to do Friday PDI. Throughout the first weekend, every weekend, like clockwork, the training class finishes, you have first weekend PDI coming. It's the same thing. The rest of the PDI is just ongoing. You call reps as needed. Hey, this person, I'm just going to call through the team this morning. This person needs to get more demos. It's just daily interaction. But those are the ones where it's like I sit down physically and call through the whole team. So I'm going to walk you all through just literally 2 things. I'm going to walk you through some first weekend objectives, just as a quick review. We've been over this before. Y'all have all seen these slides before. So this will be a review. And then I'm going to walk you guys through literally each and every single day of the week and what you want to be covering on each of those days, what you want to be thinking about. So first thing is first weekend PDI. Okay. Pop quiz here. What are the objectives? Okay. There's 4 objectives. What are the objectives of first weekend PDI? I'm talking to a sales rep on the phone. And actually, hold on, before anyone answers these, really, this is why it's like time going over this, guys. If you understand the objectives in our business, you will be good. Like you will have results. There's a lot of scripts. I can give you a bunch of PDI scripts and fancy things to say on your calls. But the reality is that if you know what the objectives are of that call, you don't have to use a script. You don't have to say the right word and verbiage thing. It's like, am I getting this and this and this accomplished on the call? Cool. If I did, great. If I didn't, then it wasn't a great call. So knowing the objectives of what we're trying to accomplish versus trying to learn like the script and not knowing what the purpose is that you're reading that script for, right? All right. What are the first week objectives? Someone give me one. Anthony.
Get them to AT1.
Yep, that's one of them. Get them to the next event. By the way, that's always a PDI objective. Get them to next event. In this case, the next event is Advanced Training 1. So making sure they show up to Advanced Training 1. So that should be, by the way, that's confirmation Sunday night. That also is, hey, by the way, Joey, you're already $1,000, and get this, you haven't even had Advanced Training 1 yet. Wait till Monday, and Andrew teaches you the secret weapon. He's going to light you on fire on that point in time. Nice work. Or, hey, Joey, hey, by the way, no big deal on the no sale. Like, I know that's tough. It's probably not the outcome that you wanted and expected. But look, dude, you haven't even had Advanced Training 1 yet. So when you get in there, we're going to help you turn some of these no sales. We're going to teach you how to take some of these no sales and turn them out of sales. And then some of your smaller sales into larger sales here as well in Advanced Training 1. So you're just constantly promoting and hyping it up. And then also just making sure you're doing some confirmation. That's one objective. It's another one. Jess, you want to share? Adrian, that's where you're gonna share one.
Wait, lost my train of thought.
Objective of first weekend PDI. So
get him to 1K.
Get him to 1K. Yes, I would say that is an objective. That's not what I have on here. Just on the call, on a phone call. What's like the goal on the phone calls?
Build connection and give them confidence.
Boom. Give them confidence. That's one objective. So get them to the next event. Give them confidence. Okay. Confidence in their next demo, confidence in themselves, confidence in that's like half the PDI conversations is trying to audit their mentality and give them confidence. And I just said the third one, which by the way is to manage their mentality.
Oh, I was going to say, get them excited for the next one.
Yeah. Manage their mentality, get them thinking bigger. Okay. And then the last thing is we want to make sure that the representatives are following the fundamentals. These are the keys of the first weekend coaching. This is what you want to be focused on. Am I accomplishing these things in my phone calls? By the time someone comes around on Sunday and you've had multiple phone call conversations with them, are these things happening? Have you managed their mentality? Which is the biggest part about first weekend PDI, right? Challenge the champions, encourage the discouraged. I'll write that down. Challenge the champions, encourage the discouraged. Meaning, dude, and it's funny. I see sometimes young men, like new branches mess this up. Like some kid calls in from a no sale and they're like, they literally like, oh man, like you let the team, like they go off on him. Like, oh, like you suck. Like not like they don't actually say that, but they basically make the rep feel like that representative is nervous to call you. They're like, oh, shoot, I just started my job. I look awful. I didn't even make a sale on my first one. I have to call my manager. And if you call and you don't build them back up and give them confidence and tell them like, oh yeah, that's actually pretty normal. Like, right. Then they start feeling like real shit. And then that's why they quit. Like a lot of representatives, it just surprised me how many representatives just probably quit just because like they just think they're doing bad at the job when they have a no sale on the first one or two, and the manager isn't able to guide them through that process. And they're like, oh no, I just suck at this. I'm so sorry. Like I can't do this. I quit. Like they feel like they're letting you down, half the time in the process. Like they just need to hear a little bit more confidence boost. And then also we need to challenge the champions, right? Like, dude, there's a big key of creating 10K fast starts and and top performers is keep them in the bubble. Keep them in the bubble. Every time I have someone sell 10K their first weekend, they don't even think they're doing good. Every time. Every single time that person is like under the impression they're doing a bad job. And that's because like, it's like, all right, all right, cool. We saw a signature set. Like, yeah, all right, Julia, let's start selling the bigger sets on these next ones. Let's try to add the flatware to it at least. Like, and you're getting them to think bigger, or, all right, cool. You're nice. You're at 3K. You're right on pace for where everyone else is, you should be able to get the 10K. And a lot of times, like, I'll just tell you guys, coaching 10K fast stars, a lot of it's just like giving them a goal or a target, helping them see a little bit further in front of themselves. Like that really is what it is. I was like, all right, cool. You sold your first show, maker, nice. It's Monday night. So, if we can get you to like 4 or 5K by Saturday night, then you should be able to hit 10K by Sunday. And I was coaching on that. They're like, all right, cool. Like 4K. So I have like 6 demos that I need to sell $4,000. Great. They're like going into the day, like thinking about how they're going to have it happen versus some reps are just going the day. Like, I don't know, we'll see how this goes. I hope I sell. Versus like, all right, cool. Let me try and sell $4,000 today on my appointments. Let me see if I can get this accomplished. They're already thinking it. And then making sure they're following the fundamentals. Those are the 4 keys. I think, Audrey, were you going to add something or someone going to chime in? Adrian?
Yeah, I just want to add, because I saw Gabriel smirking the entire time. I would just give you an example of when I coached Gabriel his first 10 or 15K, I think he did his first Sundays. And it was literally that. It's just getting them like to the next promo, letting them know how far away they are from the next promo, and then just really challenging them. Like I remember Gabriel, he could not sell a homemaker with table knives for the life of him. I don't know why. He can only sell basic homemakers. And I kept challenging him to like just get a signature set this time, or at least let's get some table knives on the next one. And then he ended up doing it. Go ahead, Gabriel.
What do you got against the table knives, man?
I'll get them soon. But like for me, when I started selling, like, and I was going through training, I thought like a fast start was like super normal. So like I had this impression like, oh, I have to do it because like, just to perform well. So I had this like pressure, but not in a bad way. I had this good pressure, like pushing me to do better and get to that fast start.
Yes, sir. And that's typically how it runs. Like I remember, you guys know Ben Skemper, who runs Abundant. He spoke at one of our SE2 kickoffs earlier this summer. Ben Skemper, when he was a sales rep, sold $50,000 his first, I think, 3 or 4 weeks in the job. It's his first 4 weeks. So he sold $50,000 his first 4 weeks of the job, $50,000 summer performance, and he did it in 4 weeks. And his manager at the time were like literally told people like no one on the team was allowed to talk to Ben. That she was like, no one is allowed to talk to Ben. Okay. And like would put him in a corner and like no one was allowed to talk to him. No one was allowed to ask him any questions. No one was allowed to talk to him. And she did that, by the way. Like he probably wouldn't have sold $50,000 if people talked to him, because he didn't realize that what he was doing was not normal. He didn't even realize, like, he thought he just was doing the job and his manager just coaching him and giving him guidance. Like if he would have talked to another sales rep and they're like, you sold how much last week? Damn, I've been doing this for like 3 weeks. I only sold $1,000. And they're like, he just thought what he was doing was normal. They kept them in the bubble during that time period too. And I think that's part of it too, is like, hey, you got to challenge the champions. And I also hope you guys know that this just should serve as an example of how much people's mentality impacts their performance. You guys notice that people that like don't realize that what they're doing is above average or normal, they're just like, oh, okay, cool. I'm supposed to sell. So what happens is go out there and they keep selling homemakers. And that's because those representatives show up to the appointments with a confidence level going, oh, well, everyone keeps buying, so I assume they're probably going to buy too, versus the representatives show up to the appointments and assume, I'm going to try and hit my goals. They're probably not going to buy from me, and that also affects the energy of those actual performances too. So we're going a little bit over here. I'm going to go rapid fire through this. Okay. Adrian, can I have someone that can maybe take photos of these slides and send it to the TLA chat? Can anyone do that? Adrian, you got it? All right, cool. I'm going to go through them fast. So you got to be quick with the screenshots here. Cool. All right. So first thing, let's go over Monday. Okay. These are
Actually,
yeah.
sorry to cut you off there. I don't have the WhatsApp connected here, so I probably won't be the best guy.
Got you. I got it.
Okay, my bad.
All right, cool. So yeah, we just take a screenshots of these ones as you go. I'm gonna give you guys the promotion points. Okay, this is what you're generally speaking promoting on these days. So Monday, and a lot of y'all know this stuff, but Monday, it's Magic Monday. That's the promotion point. It's the last day of the week. Sales report standing. So you can use competition to drive it. Hey Joey, you're number 3 for the week. If you sell another $500 today, you can move into that number 1 spot. Or hey, Blank, you get on a top 5 report for the week. Using competition in your office of the week finishing off. It's the last day of the week. Last chance to impact your paychecks. A chance. I would talk about the team goal. Hey, we're 10 grand away from our 50K goal today. We need to do 10 grand as a team. You're also doing some SLDM invites on Monday to our usually the Tuesday SLDM. That's what you're talking about. That's what you're promoting on Monday. I'll tell you guys what, Monday can be really powerful if you do it the right way. We've sold, I've had days where we've sold like we're at 30 grand for the week and we've literally done like a 20 grand Monday. Okay. And it's literally happening at the end of the night just through calling through the team, creating that last closeout. The week is closing out. It's the last day. It's the end of the push, the beginning of the push, that kind of mentality. And I've also had a lot of times where we've sold 10, like when we had 100 grand weeks, we had the team selling 15 grand after midnight, on a 100 grand week on a Monday night. And the whole reason was just to help the team hit the goal. That's why everyone was cranking and helping out so much. So you can build some camaraderie around that too as well on your Mondays. Tuesday, okay, the last week just ended. So you now have last week's sales results. That should be a talking point on PDI. You don't want to just talk to people. You want to, like when you do PDI, you got Q sales team up, and I got
the screenshot.
when you got Q sales team up, okay, or you have Q sales team up and you have Vector Connect. So you have both of those websites open so you can actually see the data as you're going through. So I'm not like just like, hey, but you shouldn't ask reps, how much did you sell last week? Or how many how many appointments do you have? It should be like, hey, Joey, I see here you have 10 appointments lined up in front of you. Hey, Joey, last week you sold $1,400. How do you feel about that? Oh, really, really good. I'm really proud of myself. Cool. Like, what are some things that you did to really make that happen for yourself this week? How do we make that happen again this week? Honestly, Andrew, $1,400 sucks. I wanted to sell $3,000. All right, cool. Well, what are we going to do differently this week to get there? Having those coaching conversations, but like, don't ask reps the information that you should know as their manager. Okay. So have the sales report up. You can also say, you can start to set new week goals, talk about their goals for this upcoming week, right? Set up the team meeting for Wednesday night. Team night outs, for most offices this summer will be on a Tuesday night. Okay, so there'll probably be some team night out. So you might be promoting that if there's a team night out that day. I'm gonna skip over the Tuesday actual PDI calls. So we'll skip over benchmark PDI now for just time purposes. Wednesday, getting orders in before the team meeting, head start phone jam, attack list preparation for team meeting, and then if they were a new trainee, making sure they knock out their AT1 assignment that they're supposed to have done by AT2, which is what assignment?
30 to 50 names.
30 to 50 names and numbers on their attack list for Q before they actually come into the meeting. So making sure you drive that assignment to drive phone jam results. Thursday, team meeting debrief. Hey, what did you think about a team meeting last night? What's some of your takeaways? What are you thinking now? Hey, paychecks are coming out this afternoon. Are you excited for your paycheck? Is there a makeup phone jam? And you can start talking to them about their weekend goals. Friday, okay, we get a chance to do Friday. They should have their paycheck in their bank account. So again, paycheck debrief if you didn't touch base with them on Thursday. Weekend benchmarks. This is where you start talking about, all right, the weekend's coming up. How many demos do you have lined up today, tomorrow, next day? What are you thinking for your weekend goal? Are you going to be a weekend warrior, right? Key staff and A player invites for our Saturday summer calls that happen at 9 a.m. in the summertime. And then Sunday confirmation, setting up a strong Sunday PSP meeting. And again, Friday benchmark PDIs, connect with reps, set up a goal, and set up a powerful PSP meeting. Just like on Wednesday, the objectives when you're doing PDIs, set up a powerful team meeting, debrief the sales week, connect with your representatives. Then we go into the weekend. Okay, we have Saturday, and it's just weekend selling. Hey, it's set selling Saturday. This is Andrew. Who is this? Right? Driving that home on PDI. Saturday morning phone jams, like getting representatives that don't have their demo goals for Saturday and Sunday on the phones in the morning. And then last chance for some Sunday scoop up confirmation calls as well. Sunday, we're just doing final confirmations, demo goals for the upcoming week. And then Sunday's a really good time to set up your Champions Club and your Alliance meetings that day on PDI. How many do you have are you going to have in attendance on Monday morning at 8 a.m.? You know, that's one of the biggest things. If you can drive attendance to your morning workshops, to your Alliance, like your people will improve their skill set, but they're also going to get more demos. And that's what's going to make them the most money. We all know that if you have a rep for training, I would bet $1,000 that if they come to every morning workshop, they will sell more that week. It's kind of hard not to. Okay. And the reality is that if you can just drive attendance to those workshops, drive attendance to events, it's going to increase the success of your representatives, their performance, how much money they're making, how much you're selling as an office and a team. And this is Mike's little slide here, but I would also take a little photo of this too. And it just gives you guys a good walkthrough of what the flow is each and every single day that you're coaching a rep, what you're walking them through for their first 10 days. And these are the type of assignments and conversations you should be having as you manage a representative through the first 10 days. You have their first weekend, but after AT1, knowing how to manage them through those last 10 days. People that are good at this process, okay, their representatives, they actually sell more their second weekend than they do their first weekend. People that are bad at this process, their second weekend sales results usually dip off completely. They completely disappear. Okay. So it's taking some time to actually understand the flow. And this is what I'm mainly coaching you guys. I'm not walking you all through the coaching conversations. The best way to learn PDI is listening to it and hearing it live. Okay. It's not, here's the most fire PDI script. It's not, here it's knowing the objectives of what you're looking to get accomplished and then go out there and listen. Miami, we're going to have a live PDI session after training on Wednesday and we have a bunch of people coming over to Mikasa, and we're doing a live PDI session so people can actually get a chance to hear what does good PDI really sound like, get a chance to practice it. Again, you kind of got to get immersed and to get good at it. But then the background is you just need to know, what am I trying to accomplish? Like, what am I doing as I have these phone conversations? And then you can actually go out there and have the conversations. And just remember, this is one thing I'll tell you guys, manage representatives through agreements. That's the easiest and the only way you really should manage people. Okay. Influence and management skills is getting someone to do what you want, but because they want to do it. It's helping them hit their own goals, and you want to manage people through agreements. That it takes the emotions out of things. We're not going to spend a ton of time diving into that, but the last thing I'll just leave you guys with this, which is honestly one of the most impactful quotes that I've ever had in my entire life. And that is that the resistance that we get from our reps or just our people that we lead is a direct reflection of the influence that we have on them. The resistance that we get from our people is a direct reflection of the influence that we have on those people. That's why everything is your fault. You got to take ownership as a manager. I take ownership over TLA. If there's people hopping on here late and in the cars and not on point and turning assignments on late, cool. That's some standards. And I think I need to have conversations with some of y'all. And that's a direct reflection of me and my influence and my standards and the culture that I'm creating. So all those little things that you get are feedback for you as managers of how you're really leading, how you're really influencing people. If your people are constantly late to your team meetings, not hopping on, not calling in from their appointments, if your people that there's a culture and element, it's not your rep's fault. It's your fault, especially if it keeps happening again. I love when I get calls from branch managers this summer. All these reps are this way. I hate people in Sarasota because everyone's like this. Oh man, everyone in Tampa is just like Andrew. I just don't get it. Why are these people are so much do all this over here? It doesn't make any sense. All these Miami kids are all blah, 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 blah. Like I hear it all the time. And I'm like, hey, they're all doing that to you because there's some sort of, that's a reflection of your influence. That's why you keep hearing the same thing over and over and again. That's why your reps keep quitting the same way over and over and over again. That's why people keep having the same problems over and over and over again. It's like probably a reflection of how you're influencing and leading those people. And that feedback is one of the best things that we can get as managers to really understand where our areas of opportunity are and where are the chinks in our armor when it comes to our leadership and our influence abilities too. So I'll leave out with that. We were supposed to go over another talk before we go to break, but I'm going to call it audible. And I think we should do a break right now. So take a quick second, from this section, post up your light bulbs into the TLA chat. We're going to take 10 minutes. It's 11:24. Post up your light bulbs. We will resume here at 11:20 or 11:34 a.m. And we'll go to the next section. Chat soon, gang. Post your light bulbs, please. Hit play. Our next section for today, we've done a pretty good thorough walkthrough of the SMRA program multiple times. And there's a couple things in the business that we talked about. It's like, look, it's so easy as a branch or an assistant or a district manager to get caught up in all the activities, right? There's just so many things you can do. PDI to the team, interviews here, set PRs, SMRA interviews, coaching, PCs, team meeting preparation, working on your office culture. Like there's just so much stuff to do. And it's really easy to get inundated with all the little different tasks that you can be doing. It's really easy to feel like you're working really, really hard and you're not actually doing things that are creating results. It's kind of like when a sales rep works really, really hard, but they don't make phone calls. You know, it's like, well, what are you working hard on? Organizing your recs for the phone calls you don't make? You know, it's like, are you doing the activities that are actually the drivers of the business? In my mind, there's kind of two things that if you can be good at these, everything else kind of falls into place. If you are able to execute a high level with these two things, you know, pretty much the rest of the business will fall into place. What are those two things, by the way? What are like the two probably biggest components of getting off and having success and controlling the success of your office and organization? Adrian, let me go to Audrey.
I would say making sure you hit your fire number weekly and the SMRA program.
Bingo. Those are the two. Okay. Look, your fire number as a manager. A lot of you guys are experiencing this as branches. If you're a branch in the Tampa office team or Metro Miami team, I almost guarantee for both of our offices. In fact, I can already see it. It's already in our office. The people like rank who has set the most PRs in order will probably be the exact rank of performance of your offices for the winter break. Guarantee it. Maybe minus one or two might be a little bit off, but it will probably be almost exactly that. Who set the most PRs? Who sold the most? Direct correlation. Okay. That's the one thing you control as a manager during the summertime. There's nothing else that is more important than setting your PRs. During the next couple of preps, we'll go over like the day-to-day office schedule, and that will be good for NLG for you guys just kind of walk through like exactly the office structure and schedule of each day. But one thing that you have to do is make time for PR calling. It's the most important element of your business. And it's also very easy for it to kind of get put on the back burner with a lot of other stuff. But the reality is, okay, what's more important? If you have an hour-long window that you could set up a couple of different PRs, let's say you could set up, 4 PRs in an hour, or, there's a representative calling you and they really need to call and they're trying to, close a signature set, do you take the PDI call or do you finish setting your PRs? What do you do? What's the answer?
PRs.
Finish sending your PRs.
PRs. Those PRs that you're setting are going to make you a lot more money than the actual signature set sale or that one sale or two that you're going to miss during that time period. And that's why you also want to set specific like PDI systems and stuff in place. But, the PRs is what drives the business. Getting good, like if you can have a strong fire number, guys, everything else falls into place. You can be bad at everything else in our business, but if you're able to crank out and crush PRs, you're setting 20 minimum and getting close to 30 or 40 per week as a manager during the summertime, you will have a successful branch performance. I guarantee it. And also, if you're good at everything else, but you fail on your PR number, like it's the same thing. It's like reps that are really good at closing, but they don't make phone calls. Well, they don't have demos in front of them. So they still sell less than the people that are not near as good or skilled as them because they actually have demos in front of them. It's the same thing with PRs. You can be good at you can be the best branch manager coach of the division. If your PR number is lower than everyone else's, you're still going to sell less. So that's one element. The second element is SMRA program. This is how you get tapped into an area market. This is what builds you off your business. This is the one expense that you're happy to have as a manager, that it's like, oh, this is a good expense for me to really have because it's a variable expense and it's driving your interviews. So we'll dive into the SMRA program. I'm really just going to spend, 10 minutes just giving you guys a couple keys on how to run a good interview. So it's going to be short, quick today for the SMRA program, but we've talked about how to source and find them. A lot of you all have been starting this process over the winter break and you've been finding SMRA candidates using Places on the geo tags on Instagram, going to the schools, finding it, making that SMRA attack list. So, I'm getting some practice with this. Now, this is the first part. Then you actually have to actually schedule the applicant for an interview and interview them. Now, we're not going to spend a lot of time going over the actual PR approach for this, to schedule them. It's pretty damn simple. But I do want to give you guys some interview keys, okay, on how to run an SMRA interview. Now, we're not spending too long on this because the reality, guys, is that you've heard interview keys before. We just talked about it for a rep interview. Eddie gave a talk, I think at the second TLA on how to be a good recruiter. And all of the same concepts still apply. That's one thing that I want to really get across is that, as if you're recruiting SMRAs, it's the same concepts and elements that go into a good sales rep interview also go into a good SMRA interview. It's a different script, it's a different interview, but the same recruiting mentality and philosophies still apply. You still want to come from a place of leadership, right? I don't know, what was that Eddie's term that he used for it? The head. I don't even know what he said. I don't remember exactly what he said too, but he had some funny term that he used for it the last time too. The alpha energy. Okay. You want to be coming from the HBIC, but he had some other thing that he said with it too.
Mama didn't raise no beta.
Okay. That was it. That was the one. Look, yeah, just having that energy when you come to the interview. Now, I will tell you, okay, most of these people, and I'll just give you guys an example of this too. All right. This is just males recruiting females, just in general. And most of the SMRAs are typically females is that we're hiring. You can't hire male SMRAs, but 99% of them are females. Chloe's shaking her head. Don't hire male SMRAs. Yeah, no, very, very rarely. I just stay away usually. Okay. But guys, I think even in your sales rep interviews, so gentlemen, when you're recruiting females, you still also want to have that alpha energy, and also don't be too overpowering. I think sometimes guys try to be super alpha in interviews, and it's like you're gonna scare away if you're too intense some of the females that you're recruiting. So you still want to have that energy. Sometimes a little bit more depending on the person that you're with. But I would say so for SMRAs, it's still the same mentality. There's probably a little bit more. I would do a little bit more relationship building. Probably be a little bit more down to earth with them on those interviews. But in general, I want to be coming from a place of leadership. I want to be coming from a place of, hey, we don't really need you. I'm not needy. There's lots of SMRAs. And by the way, with the SMRA position, do not be needy. Y'all have to realize how good this job is for SMRAs. We're literally offering 18-year-olds an opportunity to make, more money than they make working at Publix or something like that per hour. And they get paid to hop on Instagram, and they don't even have to leave their house, and they can do it virtually from home, and they have the most flexible schedule ever. Okay. It's a really good job for a lot of these girls that are working there too. So number one, have confidence in that. We're not needy. It's not like you really have to recruit these people. It's a good gig. There's not much else that gets better than that for a student that really wants a flexible, part-time job. They can just do it from home and they're working virtually. So having that confidence and that demeanor. Nick, were you raising your hand or adding something or?
I just have a question. What are the exceptions for hiring a male SMRA, if any?
Everyone's shaking their head. Yeah, I just generally stay away. I mean, here's the deal. I'm not going to be sexist on this one too, but I would say, if they have a big following, but if I have here's the deal. If I happen to get the star football player of the team and he wants to be an SMRA and he's excited and down about that, then maybe, but in general, typically your females are going to do better. And that's also too, because they're sending social media messages, and we just know statistically they're going to get way higher response if they're a female than if they're a male. Adrian, you want to add things?
Yeah, my thought on that is if you can get them into the SMRA role, I wouldn't do that. I would just get them as a sales rep and get their PRs.
Yeah, that's probably another good route there too. But again, so just going back to the keys to the interview and mentality, having, again, realize there's also a difference when you're hiring these people. So employees versus independent contractors. There's a difference between the SMRA role and the sales rep role. Now we'll talk about later how different there's a different management process of them. You don't manage reps the same way you manage SMRAs. We're not talking about management today, but we are talking about the interview. So I do think it's important, again, to realize that you're interviewing for, an employee position. They do get paid for training. okay, for showing up and just coming up there and being there. So it's just as important to you want to make sure you're doing, again, it's a lot of the same things in the sales rep interview. You want to make sure they show up to training the right way. You know, the goal is not just to interview them. It's the same things. If you run an SMRA interview and what they hear in training is not consistent with what they heard in the interview, they're not going to make it through training. Okay. There still has to be consistency from the interview to training, just like the sales rep position. There still has to be a desire of like them trying to earn the position, earn the interview. People don't like things when they're handed to them. Okay. Anyone that is sharp does not respond well to that. If you're recruiting quality people, no quality people like to be handed anything to them. In fact, it makes it usually less desirable for them. People want things that they can't have. People want to feel like they earn something. If you just kind of offer it to them or just give it to them and they feel like they didn't really even do anything, they're like, there's no way this can be that good because I was not impressive at all. And I just got handed this job. So it probably isn't that great anyways. You know, they probably are desperate or need a lot of people. So just coming into the right mentality. Let's go ahead. And I sent the approach into the group if you guys want to look over that and pull that up. And I'm going to walk through just the script real quickly, give you guys a couple keys before Eddie hops on here and walks us through Q sales team. So a couple quick keys for the SMRA interview when you're actually running it. Same keys as the normal interview. You want to start off by building rapport with that person, you know, actually build a relationship, getting to know them, you know, asking different questions. You don't have to just ask these questions, but these are some just general rapport building questions that you can obviously ask. Now, with the SMRA interview, keep in mind, you're interviewing for a different position, but we spend a lot of time talking about the sales rep position in the SMRA interview because of two reasons. Number one, eventually we're going to convert them into sales reps. Number two, we want them to have confidence in the job that they are promoting. Okay. They have to be sold on the sales rep job in order to be a good SMRA. So your objective is not to get them, your objective is to hire them as an SMRA, but you've got to make the sale first on how great the sales rep position is for them to be excited about promoting that position. Does that make sense to everybody? If someone's not sold on the company or like they're not going to want to post on their stories and things like that too, if they're not sold on the job. And those are the SMRAs that you have that quit in training that are like, I don't really feel comfortable doing this because they're not really convicted or sold and sharing any of that because they don't necessarily believe it. So that's part of it. Is like a good SMRA interview is one where they're almost like kind of want to be a sales rep. Like that's a good SMRA where they're like, damn, that sounds so like they're so they're so sold on the sales rep position and they're kind of like, oh, can I interview for that? And you're like, well, you know, you can do it later on a different point. That's what one of the objectives that you want to get accomplished in the actual interview here itself. Okay. A couple other things too, as you're going through it. So when you're explaining the company background, the goal is to get them sold on really just the company itself. Like, hey, that the company that they are representing, the quality, the people, what we do in our mission here. We also want to walk them through and explain just the basics of the sales program. And again, we're really promoting like, hey, our students make a lot of money. They have an opportunity to earn a high income. It's a unique, fun atmosphere. We have travel and career opportunities. And then you actually want to go into the job details and explain the position. And you explain it as a rotational role. Okay, a rotational role. So there's 3 rotations that someone does. They do the social media, then they do sales rep training, then they do PR calling as they actually go through these rotations. Now, okay, one of a big kind of, this is SMRA program 3.0. Okay, is getting a constant funnel of SMRAs that you are getting on the team. You're always staffed with PR callers. You've got people tapping social media networks, and you're converting SMRAs into sales reps all summer long. That's the high power performing version of this. Okay. But if I don't have PR callers in my office yet, if I don't have at least 4 PR callers in my office as a branch and I hire an SMRA, am I putting that person into sales training? No. Okay. And this is what I want to get like that step number 1 is you get your PR callers hired. Okay. If you don't have PR callers, don't try to like, don't even, the sales training is extra. Okay. And this is why I get like the 3.0 version is great. And also if you're too busy trying to like pull off this heavy rotation, like just get some PR callers hired on your team first. Like that is objective number 1. After you have your PR callers, ideally you're able to put them through this funnel. So you want to be able to walk them through and explain all 3 rotations. The way I would explain social media, here's a clickable examples and analogies that I usually give when I'm doing an SMRA interview. So it's like, all right, so Susie, the first part of the job is using personal social media accounts. Make sure that they know it's their social media. Do not shy around this, okay? You're just going to end up having an SMRA in training that doesn't finish, okay? I'd rather them tell me in the interview that they're not interested, right? Because I was very upfront with what's expected of them. And cool, I don't waste my time, versus me tell someone and get them in training and then they don't follow through with it because I kind of skirted around what I actually wanted them to do. Also, there's girls out there that are more than happy, excited, and willing to do this. There's plenty of them. So again, I don't need to recruit the person that isn't even excited about doing this in the first place. There's other people out there that will be. So the first rotation, hey, so Susie, are you familiar with the concept of a brand ambassador or an influencer? Which obviously everyone, is gonna say yes. I use the example of like, cool, yeah, like you've probably seen, a lot of like the Bang energy drink people or on Instagram and people promoting or doing a brand ambassador program. And I'm sure you've probably gotten like a lot of DMs and things like that from like random boutique stores and things like that, asking you to partner up. Yeah. And all those messages are, and then every time you say that, by the way, they're always like, yeah, like, yeah, all those messages is kind of weird because you just get a message from like random companies. So we have a similar process and program, but the difference is people are being messaged from someone that they actually like already know, or it's a real human being. So it's just a lot more like personable than just a random company sending someone like a DM. Does that make sense? And they're usually like, oh, okay, cool. That makes a lot more sense. Yeah, I can see how that would be a lot better. Right. So you're walking them through that. Then you're saying, hey, the second part, and then you explain, the second part of the rotation is making outgoing calls to prospective sales reps and taking some incoming calls for the applicants for the interview. Pretty easy to explain. And then I say, hey, the third element of the rotation is the actual sales role. So one of the perks that you get as an SMRA is you get to automatically bypass the interview process for the sales position and go through our college accredited training. Now, and this is the last thing I explain. Now, all of our SMRAs go through all three rotations. So everyone, the best part about the position is that you'll get a chance to kind of play around in different areas, which is really great because it will really boost up your resume once you've got experience in multiple areas of the business. But after, the first couple of weeks and you've gone through the rotations, we'll do an evaluation. And at that point in time, we can kind of choose what your strengths and weaknesses are, what you enjoy doing the most. And we'll find the position that you really want to kind of stick with for the rest of the summertime too. Some people go through it and the sales training is great. Every SMRA goes through sales training because if you honestly even want to be good at promoting the position, it's just important to know how the sales rep role works, even if you don't continue on with that. And a lot of people just fall in love with the social media, and that's what they do after going through the rotation. Some people start the sales training and they never want to go back, and they're like, "Hey, Andrew, I'm making way more money doing this. Like that social media stuff's cool, but I'd rather just do this, and spend more of my time and energy here." Some people really love talking to people on the phone. Some people hate talking to people on the phone. They'd rather just be on Instagram sending out the messages. But you'll get a good idea of where your forte is, what you actually enjoy with the role after you've gone through all three rotations. And we'll do an evaluation period at that point in time. So just explain them, being able to explain the rotations that happen, explain them that they're going to go through all three, give them the expectation, of that ahead of time. And then I think the last few keys, guys, that I can give you here are really just it's the acceptance. Acceptance is the same keys as a normal interview. There's gotta be a pushback, right? Of like, they got to feel like they earned it. There's going to be a, hey, well, Jessica, thank you so much for applying. Obviously, with everything going around right now with COVID and the holiday or break, we have a ton of people applying for this role. So, we definitely can't and don't accept everybody. In certain situations, though, people do leave positive impressions. And, one thing that I was really impressed, Jess, that you did was, you really showed up positive for the interview, blah, 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 blah. So with that said, I wanted to go ahead and officially accept you for our SMRA role. So congratulations. Welcome to the team. But there's that pushback, right? Of like, obviously you can't accept everybody, but, giving them the feeling that they earned it. And then making sure that you're setting them up for training the right way, showing up prepared. I ran an SMRA training a couple of weeks ago. Someone showed up in the car driving to class. That SMRA was gone in a second. Okay. That was an SMRA that we lost just because they weren't set up for training the right way. So making sure that they're set up the right way, they have notes, pen and paper, the culture and expectations are created, and the right rock and roll for it too. Any questions on that? We're going to move on. All right, I'm going to transition things over to Eddie de las Cuevas, and he's going to give us a walkthrough here on how to use Q sales team. So this is piggybacking right off of our PDI conversation that we just had. And I want you guys to be looking for two things. Number one, as you go through it, just the overall platform, how to use it, how to be organized. Okay. You have to be, again, this is one of those things of like, we'll support you. There's a software to make your job easier. No one's going to tell you every day as a branch manager, though, like, are you updating your Q sales team? Are you paying attention to your reps? Do you know how many demos they have? Have you marked off people in the sheet? Have you organized your group people into groups and teams? That's on you. You cannot use the whole entire summer. Okay. But if you're actually utilizing it, you can use it to really drive and create results. And that's the second thing I want you guys paying attention to, is not just how to use the software, but how to use Q to actually drive sales results with your representatives, with your demos, with your team. So without further ado, las cuevas.
Eddie.
Thank you. And then Andrew, if you could please make me a co-host so I can share my screen. Alrighty, everybody. So going through Q sales team, one of the things especially that I personally love about it is I remember being an assistant manager with Mr. Evans, and we did everything that this service offers, but we did it either on paper or manufactured it through WhatsApp in these big long texts and manually doing it. And the short version was that it was a pain in the ass. And so Q sales team really does simplify every single aspect of it, specifically because it's going to be one spot that allows you multiple different features to then organize all the different things that you need to do. And it makes it a lot easier to think through and work through. So first things when it comes to it and really breaking it down. So I have a few different ones. First, we're just going to look at the basic rep side. When it comes to rep management, and you were learning this earlier today, managing through agreements. One of the things that's wonderful about Q is that because of this, when you're managing through agreements, most of the time, it's not even you that actually had to make the agreement. All you have to do is make sure that your reps are putting their goals into Q each single week. And then the rest of it is driving through whatever they put on it, because it's not you, it's what they want. It's their goals. And so this is a good way that you can look at it. And then from here. Now, and this will give you a good example of, these are people now that need to have that conversation like, hey, Q is everything. Now, here's and the more important part to it. For those that are going to be branch managers, district managers, and especially if you are an assistant manager or will be, and then with that, the big role that it offers is for us, and I know as a trainer, I say this. I know Mr. Evans, when he runs training, he says it. And Mr. Abramowitz and whomever is running training, it's a part of training to emphasize Q. One thing is bringing it up, and the other thing is holding the agreement accountable and the expectation that Q is everything, and making sure that they are aware that we use it and that from there are paying attention to it. So when there's lack of activity on your end, we know. So from here, then PDI today. This is going to give you a really good read, because you can also download the app onto your phone. And then with that, you don't have to be stuck behind your computer in order to do this. And so with it, you can easily transition from the computer to the app if you're on the go or not. And so with PDI today, you can then get a quick read and going through it. And then from there, if you text them when you did morning PDI, or if you got a response, but if you notice, it's going to still cover it as a yellow, because texting is not necessarily going to be personal interaction. And so from here, then reached outgoing, meaning you did OG PDI, where you reached out to them to get a hold of them, or reached incoming, meaning they called in. So what this will then allow, if you are one of several assistant managers, or perhaps you're a branch manager that's taking on an assistant manager, is that it is very easy to communicate what is going on with one rep. And so it allows for a constant or consistent communication from one manager to another through simple things like, hey, did you speak to this person? And you mark it off on Q. And how was that conversation? Was it you reaching out to them? Was it them reaching into you? Did you just reach out to them and you haven't gotten a response? Okay, you reached out to them through text and you got a response. How did that conversation leave off? And then from there, you're able to then go all the way down. How you'll see it on the app, and then how you can see here, if you notice as you go down, it's going to start to increase these bars right here. So then you can see how much of your team have you actually called through and confirmed or had a conversation with, or whatever happened. From there, you then have, and this is where organization is key, you can organize by groups and then by teams. So from here, You can then have it all grouped out. Now mine was defaulted to this since I was trying a software for a bot to pull data, but that's a different story. But from here, what you're then able to see, like I have those that are a part of my staff. So they're going to be one section of Q. Then I have my CSPs, which is Kathy, and she's really in her own section. And then from here, I would have just the main bulk, those that recently finished fast starts, and then from here, who is still currently in their fast start. Now, one that I remember, especially when I was an assistant manager with Mr. Evans, that I loved a lot, was if you can click on multiple people. And let's say that I wanted to create a group, and we'll call this, so let's create a team. And then from here, you can just create whatever team. So let's say these are going to be the medium, they're reps that aren't absolutely awesome, like the high performers. They're not my like low performers. They're the ones in the middle. So when you click create team, you have to put in your team name. And then the thing is that you have to make sure you add them, which I accidentally just pressed finish without adding anybody. But so from here, I could add whomever I think is medium level and then click finish. So anyone on my staff can now go on a Q sales team, click on teams, and then from there get a good idea of who does the district manager or whomever is the main manager and leading in coaching decisions. Or perhaps this can be decided during a staff meeting. Who are the reps that are medium, low, or high quality? Meaning if they're low, we need to give them extra love. They need extra help, extra coaching, more demos, more confidence, whatever. Medium, and then high, and you can get the idea from there. Who's going to be on the highest priority? Like we need to talk with them and support them. So this is going to just really be your main homepage when it comes to the people on your team and managing through agreements, through their daily goals for each week. Then you have phoning. Right now, there is no phone jam, but this is a really great read, especially when it's a Wednesday or it's a Sunday and you want to manage through it. So let's see if we have anything across the division. All right, so this will work for us. Now, let's say that this was a Wednesday phone jam. You're there, you're either an assistant manager leading the phone jam or you're a branch manager leading your own phone jam. What we're now able to see, let's see a phone jam started, let's say it started at 11:30. Well, Miracle has made 9 calls in 30 minutes. And actually, she hasn't even made a single call in over 30 minutes. So now as a manager, I know like one thing that's going through my head is like, what the F are you doing right now? You're here on a phone jam. You have one job. So I'm going to go ahead and call Miracle real quick. Like, hey, Miracle, just want to check up on you. And this is where you write into your notes, curious before critical. Curious before critical. I'm just going to reach out to, like in my head, I'm talking to myself. I'm like, Miracle, what the heck are you doing? What have you been doing that's so important that you're not making phone calls for over 30 minutes? So I'm going to call Miracle and I'm just going to ask curious questions like, hey, Miracle, just want to check up on you. Is everything cool? You good? Need any help with anything? Then typically they will already know part of the reason why you're calling. So then they'll start to try and justify it for you. But what this is doing, and right there, being attentive to Q and going through the phoning during a live phone jam, is it makes it clear to the rep that you're paying attention. And you and them both know that they have a job and what we're supposed to be doing right now. And that's why they're going to start justifying right away. They know what they're supposed to be doing. So when you are actively using Q sales team, especially with the phoning section, it then during a phone jam drives it further and you are all pretty much birthed within this virtual reality of this job, aside from some of you. So before, we used to be right next to you in person. One of the things that I learned from Carlos Cordero and I was great at is if we were in person, I would grab your phone. Like, let's say that we're there and Chloe's not making her phone calls or she's scared about it. I would grab her phone and I'd force her to type in the phone number. And I'm like, all right. And then I'd press the call button for the rep and hand them back their phone. Just because like, you need to make phone calls. I don't know what you're waiting for. And I would do that. We can't do that anymore though. This is the next best thing, an immediate call to close that distance because we're not next to them. And that's how we drive productivity. This is how we use Q sales team to drive sales, drive demos, drive productivity. Because let's be real, and raise your hand if you want to be honest. If you don't, that's cool. but how many times do you really take more time out of your week to make phone calls outside of the Wednesday and Sunday phone jam? I knew I didn't. So if I didn't get it done as a rep 2016 on Wednesday or Sunday, I just didn't do that shit. I just didn't. And I was motivated. I was making a lot of money. The other performers that weren't performing as high as I was definitely weren't. And so they definitely weren't doing it outside of a Wednesday and Sunday. So we have to make sure that the productivity is taking place during those meetings, or the proper agreements are made and clear expectations are set as to when it'll get done. Then from here becomes the most critical part. We talk about the Wednesday and the Sunday phone jams. So this is your attendance section. And then from here, you can get a good read on your entire team from this point. Now, and you should be able to see it here. Let me move this over a bit. Oops. This little plus sign. So what you can do is you can then write in what would the event title be. So let's say we have divisional meeting. Oops. We have our divisional meeting. Come on, dude.
And by the way, guys, I would never have an event, an SE1, an SE2, like anything without having anyone that's worked with me knows this is how it goes. I don't care what you have on paper. If someone's like, oh, we got about this many confirmed, I'm like, is it marked in Q sales team? I was like, all right, so we have 0 confirmed for the meeting then. It needs to be updated so you can track your attendance results in your actual meetings too. This is one of the most helpful features, is being able to have an event and be able to go down the list and confirm and see the people that you need to make calls to get set up for it, the people that have already been confirmed. It's really valuable to get in the habit of doing this. You don't need to do this for I would do it for every Wednesday and Sunday too.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Eddie.
And so you can mark it off just like that: conference, phone jam, team meeting, workshop. And then from there, you go ahead and let's say that in this case, let's say it's just a Wednesday phone jam. So for this case scenario, that was marked for, so 16th, and let's say, right, boom, the time, we're going to put it at the normal 6 p.m. start time for a phone jam. And then let's say it recurs basically forever. So then from there, now it should pop up. Let me make sure. Okay. It's going to pop up for next week. There we go. So it'd pop up for next week. So then from this point, all I have to do now as a manager to be on top of my team, when I'm doing my PDI, I can then just mark off, are they undecided for whatever reason, which is just basically a clear needs an update, confirmed, no show, yes, no, late, maybe leaving early. So especially if you're an assistant manager leading first weekend PDI and your district manager is running advanced training 1, this is going to be great as a district manager, because then in the morning on Monday, I can then look at it and be, okay, great. My assistant managers got their shit done and they already marked everybody off. And I know exactly how many people they either still need to confirm, have already confirmed, or are not going to be here. And then I can follow up with my assistant managers as far as what are we doing to make sure that anyone that's not going to be attending is understood why. And then they can type in notes, or I can type in notes. And this way, it makes you as a manager seem like you are super paying attention and on top of it and doing great with it. And that you're super on top of it, because that brings a lot of confidence to your reps that you're paying attention. Little do they know that you just have a good piece of software that allows you to manage all these things, because the dullest pencil or typing is sharper than the sharpest mind. Write it down. Then you have demos. So especially first weekend PDI, when you're going through it, you want to make sure that these are getting checked off. So from here, you can write down any sales that you are making, or sales whoever is made. And then from here, checked in if they had a coaching call, no sale, thinking about, canceled, rescheduled, updates. So you can mark everything off here. Then with it, when you're actively doing this, and you especially can notice that there are either a lot of no sales happening. Okay, my team needs a talk on closing, because we're clearly suffering in closing ratio. Or we're making a lot of sales, but they're all like 100 CPO orders. All right, my team needs an average order talk this Wednesday. So I'm going to go ahead and bring them value with an average order talk, or make sure that I get a video out to everybody and that everybody takes notes. Or they keep getting a lot of thinking about it objections, husband objections. So maybe I'll run an objections workshop. Or heck, there are a ton of cancellations. My team needs a phoning workshop. What this will just in general allow you to do when you're active and consistent with it is become hyper aware of who are those that are actually calling in and doing fundamental number 4 and actually verifying. Who are the ones that are making a lot of sales, no sales, no shows, cancellations, and what does my team need, as well as recommendations that are there. And so maybe they actually need a recommendations talk. As well, over here on the top left, you're able to see how many demos do you have in total set for the day, and then from there, how many have actually been checked in from, right? Verified. And so then from here, you can then, like in the morning as a branch manager or as an assistant driving sales for your office, you figure out, okay, we want to hit these goals. Takes about every demo is about 100 CPO. So we have 10 demos. We're looking at about 1,000 CPO today, but the goal is to sell 2,000. So we need to call the team and get another 10 appointments scheduled today to hit our goal. You can then group it and filter. This is also convenient. So like when we do those Head Start phone jams or whatnot and contests and raffles, all I have to do is I can just go straight down the list. I can then use a date range and figure out how many demos do we have over a certain period of time. Who specifically has X amount of demos. We can filter by teams. You get the idea. And then lastly would be messages. So with messages, you're able to then just text people directly through Q. This is going to also be another easy one because perception is reality, and then it just keeps their mind focused on using Q. It's kind of the same idea. If you want to get a lot of recommendations in demos, step number 1 is get your customer to pull out their phone. You want to get a lot of recommendations from a customer. If you yourself are struggling to get a lot of recommendations during your own Cutco sales demos, focus first on getting your customer to pull out their phone. It's hard to say that they don't know anybody when they're actively going through their contacts. Step number 1, you can't continue in your recommendations approach till you get that. Q is the same thing. You know, I can tell who's going to be a great branch manager and sell a lot based on how often they log into Vector Connect and check their sales report. They're just aware. Where focus goes, energy flows. When you use the messaging service and you get your reps actively on Q, it means they're consistently thinking about Q and demos, which means that they are more actively going to make phone calls to fill up their queue, because just like Instagram, just like Snapchat, just like Facebook, the more active you are on it, by nature, you use it more often. And this is really the beauty of the Q sales team, between understanding how to talk to your people every single day, and with that communicate to your assistant manager and leadership team to then drive attendance to advanced training or other meetings, drive demos, figure out and become aware of what your team needs, what kind of value are they looking for, or would most bring confidence to your team. And then from there, getting them more active on Q through the messaging service. And this is really Q sales team in a nutshell.
Thank you, Eddie. Again, this is a really like Q is you guys don't realize and understand how valuable Q is. Like, again, we literally used to like do all this stuff on paper every day. Like, y'all don't understand how this used to go. There used to be all right, this is old school. It used to be called a PDI binder. Okay. And we had a physical binder that had a demo grid for each day. And every single Wednesday team meeting, our assistant managers would take about 45 minutes to take all the demos from that day that people wrote down on paper, go in the back room and write out every single demo on every single day into the demo binder. Okay. And then guess what? That binder, whoever was doing PDI that night needed to have that binder. Okay. So I remember my first assistant manager, the amount of times that we had to like trek across to the other side of Fort Lauderdale to go pick up this damn binder from somebody. So we had the demos and we could do PDI that day based off of whose job it was. I mean, it was just a mess. It happened all the time. Q is like the biggest lifesaver in the world, but I can understand how if you're a brand new rep, you're like, oh, I don't know. Well, what's the point of this stuff? Okay. This literally has made our jobs so much easier as managers. So getting really familiar and actually utilizing the full software, like that text messaging service, when you're busy as a branch manager, look, you don't have time to text every single person that's running late to your meeting as you're running the meeting and trying to connect with everybody. So getting good at like using the messaging system. Like I always did this when I ran meetings as a branch. I literally had a timer, 6:01 p.m. hit it. I literally moved every single person that was not in my meeting into a group called late, and boom, sent out a group text message that sent out to all of them one-on-one. Hey, you're late. What's your ETA? Like what's going on? Like at 6:01 p.m., everyone got that message. And that really also enforced the standards too, because people knew they were being held accountable. If someone was late, like they got a text message literally 6:01 p.m., from me, versus sometimes as a branch, we don't hold our people accountable. And it's like the next day, Thursday, it's like, hey, by the way, why weren't you in the team meeting last night? That's not typically how people would be managed if they're missing a mandatory meeting. So, because some goods there. I would practice utilizing Q a little bit and try to get familiar with the software over the break. If you don't have an account, does anyone not have a manager account in Q? Your managers can grant you access to a managerial side so you can see and get familiar with some of these features. There's also other YouTube videos that are out there and available. Two more talks before we go to break here. We're going to go over another tech thing, which is spreadsheets, and we're going to go over a little PR quiz and PR program. So to give you guys not too much tech stuff all at once, I'm going to transition over to the PR program here, and then I'll walk you guys through some cool stuff with spreadsheets that you'll will want to know. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to do a little PR quiz. Okay. So this is going to be a little quiz, and I'll probably post into the I'll probably do a little quiz in the chat here if I can get this set up the right way.
What does the winner get?
What did you say?
What does the winner get?
The winner gets nothing. We're just going to do a quiz.
Boring.
And I'm going to quiz you guys on the funnel. So it's really important to know the standards, know the numbers, know the funnel, meaning there is a recruiting funnel. I was telling someone this the other day that like all business is the same. I was telling one of my buddies was getting into entrepreneurship for the first time. He's leaving his consulting job at KPMG. He wanted to get into the world of entrepreneurship. He was complaining about how much working in corporate sucked. And anyways, I was just telling him, I was like, yeah, just give it a couple of years. And like the thing that you'll learn is like, it's all the same. Like it's all the same stuff. Like once you learn how to, like, this is why I feel confident I can build any company. Like I can structure a company and get it off the ground and running I could build $1 million company around any product for literally anything within a year or two's time. And it's just because I just have a deep understanding of how businesses work, and they're all the same thing. The products change. It's the same structure. Okay. It is, they have a product or a service, and then they have to find a way to get customers to that product or service. And then there's some sort of onboarding or facilitation or customer service part that's going to happen on the back end. That's really it. It's why when people are like, oh, I'm just going to start a business. Like I have this great idea. And I'm like, great. How do you get your customers? Like, they're like, oh, I don't know. Maybe I'm going to run ads. It's like, okay, so how do you get your customers? That's the most important thing. It doesn't really matter guys, I can sell toilet paper. If I know how to get customers for the toilet paper, that's what matters. Toilet paper, there's lots of people that buy toilet paper. The whole country buys toilet paper, knives, bookshelves, whatever you're selling, product, any type of service. It doesn't even really matter what that is. It helps if it's a good one, but it's just, how do you get your customers? How do you get the people? How do you get the recruits in the door? As a branch manager, every business is really the same. So understanding the metrics and the funnels of like the steps in the process of how you convert that process is important. And you want to know those numbers here for us. So we're going to do I think there's a feature. I'm going to do a poll. Let me see if I'm able to edit real quickly here. All right. I'm going to create a little poll. All right. First question is going to be the PR show percentage. Okay. So I'm going to post up a little poll, and you guys are going to vote on the poll on what is supposed to be the show percentage for PRs. Don't post it in the chat yet, because I'm going to create this super fast. Let's see here.
This is for managers, SMRAs.
This is for managers.
Okay.
Let me add one more. Okay. So first question will be PR show. Let me go ahead and do this one, and I think I can launch it. Nice. All right, let's go ahead and get the votes in.
Yeah, this is sick. Where did you learn how to do this?
I've done it before. We've done it before for different things. All right, go ahead and put them in. What is the standard for a manager PR show percentage? Everyone needs to vote. We're still missing a couple here.
And my bad, can you see who like gets it wrong and stuff?
I can see everything, man.
Dude, that's so cool. Trivia night, team meetings.
Let me add another option here. All right. The results are in. Can you guys see it or no?
No, we can't.
All right. 0 people voted for 25%. Good job. 9 people that voted for 35%. 4 people voted for 75%. 14 people voted for 55%. What's the right answer?
55.
55%, baby. 55%. Okay. Now, by the way, my opinion is as a manager, like if you're good at PR calling, you should be above 55%. Adrian Ardondo's PR show was like 70. What was their PR show for the summer? You said like 380 PRs and it was like a 70% show for the summertime.
Something like that, yeah. But who's keeping track, eh?
Hey. John had to get up and walk out of the room. So sorry, that threw me off. The 55% is the standard, okay, PR show. That's how many people should be showing. So it's about 5 out of 10. 5 to 6 out of 10 is what you should have show up to an interview. Now, SMRAs, Jonathan asked a good question. Who's this for? That's for you as the manager. Okay, if I'm a manager, 55% is standard. If I have assistant managers, I would say 45% plus needs to be the standard. If I have SMRAs, I'd say about 40% needs to be the standard. Okay, 35% is the absolute threshold. If anyone is below 35, that's bad. Okay, and by the way, 55% was the standard before there was virtual interviews. It's a lot easier to get someone to show up to a Zoom interview from their cell phone than it is to get them to drive to the office and dress well and go out there and be there 15 minutes early and bring a resume and show up professionally to the interview. Okay. They have like, what do they have to do? Hop on their phone? Like it's pretty damn easy. I don't know how people miss interviews with this thing. You should really try to strive for like a 70% show. 55% has got to be the standard though. Okay. But we got about half TLA that got that one wrong. So we're going to need to work on this. I'm going to keep quizzing you guys on these things almost every call we have here. All right, let's see here. All right, next one would be show to training. So you interview the people. From there, then you have the actual show to training. So let me end this poll and let me do a new one. Untitled poll, show to training. All right, show to training percentage. What should it be? I'll give you guys a quick second to answer that one.
This is standard, no?
This is what is the standard show to training? How many, if you interview a certain amount of people, how many of those should show up to training? Okay, results are coming in. I'll give you guys 3 more seconds to finish it up. All right. We're waiting. One person hasn't voted. You know who you are. One person, we're still missing them. All right. The results are in. 10 people voted for 50%. 13 people voted for 60%. And 3 people voted for 40%. What's the right answer?
It could 60. I mean,
50%. 50%. I would say is the standard.
Getting soft.
Show to training. Now, by the way, okay, my general mentality on that is, or actually, I might have typed this one wrong. It's probably 55% is actually what it is, by the way, is I would say show as well for this one. But typically, again, this is 50% needs to be the standard. If you're sub 50, your interview's off. There's something wrong in your interview. Okay. there's something that needs to be fixed if you're below 50%. And again, 50% was a standard when people had to show up physically to training, dressed in suits for 14 hours and come to the office. It's virtual training. You should get a higher show percentage. I'd say 50, anything below 50% is rough. 50% needs to be the floor. I think most good managers are going to get a 60 to 70% show to training. A lot of our managers, by the way, in the virtual environment, it is not uncommon for people to get 80%, 85% shows to training. That's happened lots of our weeks when we have a training class too. Every once in a while, I'll be like, I expect mentally a 50% show, but it's oftentimes that we end up getting an 80% show or 90, like almost, 80% of the people that we interviewed are in training. Okay. Now here's the deal. That number is great, but what's more important is the launch percentage from training. Because you can, I can get 100% show to training. I'll just tell them it's a different job. I just won't give them the right information. They'll show up. I can tell them we'll pay them $20 an hour, and we give them their clients, and they don't have to see people that they know. And then we'll just do I can tell it, say a different job, and get them to show to training. They won't finish training because they'll show up and be like, wait, this is not what I expected, but I can get them to show. So part of it is you still have to make sure that the expectations are very, very clear. I'd rather make expectations very clear and have a lot of success with the people in training than make expectations not clear, hire everybody because they're all interested in the position, and give into the training somewhere there too. So, all right, next poll. Here we go. Let's see. I'm going to end this poll. And all right, launch percentage. What is it? Launch percentage. Give everyone a quick second to answer that one.
What is that entitled? Does that mean they sell $1,000, or does that just mean they do demos?
That just means how many of them finish training. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that
Finish day 2 of training? Launch in the system. What qualifies as a launch is they fill out a contract. Okay, so that means if they fill out a contract, they officially become a step on Vector Connect and in your system. That would be considered a launch of recruit. If they show up to day 2 and they don't really finish it, or they quit before contract or something like that too, then they didn't launch. Now, every once in a while, you have someone that fills out the contract and technically doesn't finish the training, they quit at 6 o'clock right before they're about to go do their first few demos. You would still consider that a launch. I don't know. I mean, technically, the system will say that's a launch, but I wouldn't really consider that a launch. I'm talking about how many people are actually finishing the whole entire training, not demo averages, but just who's finishing the training. So take a quick second. We're missing a couple more of those votes there. And I'm going to do this. Make the next one here. All right. We're missing one more vote. Great. All right. The results. 6 people voted for 50% launch. 12 people voted for 60% launch. 9 people voted for 70% launch. What's the answer?
70.
70 is the answer. 70% launch, boys and girls. That's what you want. 70% launch. Okay. Anything below 60% is real rough. Okay. If you're sub 60, that means either the training's not good or the interviews weren't good. Usually it's the interviews, by the way, for the launch percentage. But it means either the training wasn't, the trainers aren't great. But here's the deal, guys. All of you all, if you're running training this summer, are running with some of the best trainers in the company. Me, Mike Abramowitz, Eddie Escuevas, Alex Ars might be running our training. There's people that are very, very competent in their ability to train. So even if they don't run a great one, their bad training is better than most managers' trainings are. Across the company. So keep in mind, it's usually the interviews or lack of consistency. 70% is really what you want. On day 1 of training, you want typically your PR. I mean, they should 90% of people should finish the day 1 of training. Okay. You might lose 1 or 2 people within the first 20 minutes. That's not great. That's not completely out of the normal, but the rest of the training, you should be losing people throughout day 1. If you're losing people throughout day 1, it's a telltale sign of there's something off in the interview. Okay, was not what they expected. Then you usually will lose a couple people in the phone jam. Okay, so that's the first thing that you'll lose people is the phone jam when it starts. And then also, again, if they don't get to how many demos do they get to the first night? 5. If they don't get to that, you're losing them as well. Okay. That's also a mental loss. If they didn't get their first 5 demos, they're probably not going to show up on the second day of training. So making sure that they got their 5. But you, generally speaking, guys, to get a 70% launch, you really need like 80% of the training to show up on day 2, because you're more than likely going to lose, 1 or 2 people or a little percentage of your training class during day 2 as well. Shouldn't be a lot, but you'll lose a couple there. So if I've got 20 people in training, 70% of that is 14. Okay. So I need to launch 14 out of the door. So I got 20 people in training, but I imagine 20. Okay. I've got like 19 when we go into the phone jam on day 1. That would be expected, or 18 minimum. I'm going to lose maybe 1 of the phone jam. So I'm at like 17. Right. And then there's a couple that book 5 demos, but just I lost them over that night and they come in day 2. I should probably have like 15 people to start day 2, 75% going into day 2. And maybe I lose 1 more person along the way. And I launch 14 out the door. That's a 70% show. Okay. Just to give you guys some kind of a mentality there too. If I had 10 people in training, then maybe I lose, 1 or 2 in the phone jam at night. 1 doesn't show up to day 2. I'm launching out 7 out the door here too. Last question that I'll do, last poll, first weekend average. This isn't necessarily the PR program, but since we're talking about it, I'll do this one as well. What should their average rep produce their first weekend when you launch them? All right. Go ahead and cast your votes. Ooh. It's funny because all the ones that come in at the end are the ones that are wrong. The ones that are like, oh no, which one did I pick? Boom, wrong one. All right, I'm missing a couple last minute ones. Cast your votes. 3 people are missing. All right, we got 1 person voted for $2,000. 5 for $750, 3 for $500, 16 for $1,000. Which one is it?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's a K. $1,000 is what you want the average to be your first weekend. What's the fast start average? What should it be? Fast start average. What should that be? I'll give you a hint. It's double. It's double the first weekend average.
2K.
2K. PPR. What should that be?
4K.
Yeah, it's double the fast start average. 4K. Yep. That's what the average representative on your team ideally sell. Now, 4K is a pretty high PPR, actually. I wouldn't necessarily say that's the exact number, but $1,000 is what you want your reps to average their first weekend. I would say, if you're 750, it's solid. You're not always going to pull that off. We totally did not average $1,000 every single weekend. That should be your target number. I would say if you're below 500 ahead, something seriously off in your first weekend PDI. Okay. If you're ever below if I launch 10 reps and they bring back less than $5,000, something's seriously off in my PDI, or the training was awful. One of those 2 things. But ideally, you're averaging $1,000 per head. And again, that means it's 10-80-10. 80% of people are getting around that $1,000 mark. You have a couple people going big and going over, a couple people that aren't quite getting there or aren't making sales for their first weekend too. So this is a quick review. Okay. And this is the recruiting funnel and standards that you guys want to know. So this is what's important. This is how it worked. And this is why, again, PR setting is the most valuable thing you could do as a manager, because it's the top of the funnel. It is what affects everything else. Okay. Why also having a good PR show percentage can matter a lot, because you can have a really high first weekend average sales rep, but if your, show to training is 40%, well, all this stuff is now 40% less too. Does that make sense to everyone? If your PR show, okay, is 35% instead of 55%, that's a huge difference. Because guess what? 35% out of 55%, that's about 50% less. Just call it average. Okay. It's probably about 40%. And are you guys following me with these numbers, by the way? If I'm at 55% and now I'm 35%, that's about a 50% less decrease in performance of how many people are showing to the interview on average. That means that I now have half the amount of people in my interviews because of that show. I have half the people, even if all these numbers are good, half the people in training, 50% less in training, 50% less in my interviews, 50% less launching, 50% less sales that first weekend because my PR number percentage is 50% off. It's the top of the funnel. It affects everything else. Because if that funnel, if it starts off and it already goes and closes, right? You guys get what I'm saying? If that funnel gets smaller at the top, everything else now in that funnel is a lot smaller going down. Okay. So you want to also be focusing on like that. That's really why as a manager, having you can't afford to have bad numbers with your PR show. That's why we make sure you call a lot of them so you get good at it. Cause that's like something like you don't want to have that number be off because everything else will be off if that one's off, and you can go down the line and kind of follow some of these things here as well. Last key that I'll give you guys on just PR talk and overview is just how to generate more PRs. What's the list? Just give me a list, guys. Let's just shout them out. Actually, why don't you guys just take a quick second and post them in the chat? What are some ways that we can generate PRs as managers? If we want people to call, generating recruits, what are like the different ways and times where we can do that? Canvas messages, yep. Social media, yep. What else? SMRA program, yep. Three-way text, yep. Now give me more like functions. Okay, top 20 lists. What times do we get names from reps? When do we get name collection from representatives? When do they give us PRs? AT1 social hour, yep. Training, day 2 of training, AT1. Okay, first weekend coaching conversations, day 2 of training, names talk, yep. When else can we get PRs from our reps? Snap Blitz, okay, social hour and advanced training 1, team meeting, recruiting activities. What else? Social media blast, yep. I love that we're hearing a lot of these things that we've done over the break. You guys are getting like, oh, this is how you create recruits. You all just saw it go down. Anything else? We're missing some. One-on-one post fast start PC, yep. Any others? Okay, here's the list. I take a photo of this guy. These are all the different places. I didn't even include Snapchat blast, social media, triple threats. These are more the times as a manager where you can use those times to affect PRs. Anytime that you're doing something, guys, it should be doing one of two things: affecting sales or affecting recruiting. If it's not doing one of those two things, it's probably not worth your time. Am I doing PDI? Is it affecting sales? Or am I getting some PRs from my PDI? If I'm not doing either one of those, then it's pretty much a waste of time. Am I doing things that are driving the business and recruiting and sales? So we can get, by the way, post-interview PRs. That's when you get PRs from someone that you're interviewing. All you do is you add to your Google form. By the way, do you know anyone that's looking for work right now and might be interested in? We can't guarantee anyone positions, but we'll reach out to them if you put them on there. So people can recommend people a job when they're interviewing. Now, I don't typically like to do this one because usually we have enough other sources to get PRs from that we don't really need to ask people in the interview. However, if I'm ever like low on people, if I'm a branch and I have like not a lot of people coming to my interviews, I might add that in so I can get some, average 5 to 10 people per my interviews and just get some more fresh recruits. Day 2 name collection, that's the big one. Top 10 PR list. AT1 social hour, which is when we do Snapchat blast, triple threat, things like that. Day 4 PCs, which is on a Tuesday. It's the, in between Monday advanced training and Tuesday advanced training too, having down a conversation with them. Anytime you sit down with a rep to do a PC, day 4 PC, day 11 PC, a push PC, those are all times and opportunities where you can talk about that. A lot of you all had that this summer where they might talk about, hey, a TLA PC. Hey, here's what, are excited. They're excited about getting to TLA. Here's what you need to do. Get on Andrew's radar. There's typically a couple things you can do to get on the radar. High sales performance, team building, and then high communication. Do you have his phone number? Great. Okay, cool. Let's map out your push plan. And also team building. Hey, that's one thing that early Andrew looks for. Who do you have that we can get on the team? And like just talking to him about that. Every time you sit down with a rep is an example to do that. Workshops. We're going to have a trip during the summertime. I just put Cancun because that's where it was last year. That might not necessarily be Cancun next summer, but there's usually some trip that reps can win too. There's usually, we did Cancun workshops, getting your people into those, right? Sunday triple threats, Wednesday, every team meeting that you run, there should be some sort of recruiting activity. Everyone posts up this triple threat, all right? Send out a Snapchat mix. Everyone put me in 2 3-way texts with 2 of your friends that, might be interested in looking for work right now. Every team meeting should have some sort of recruiting activity. 3-way text, PDI conversations. You guys know the drill. But those are all the things that you can be doing to generate some PRs here. And just know that, again, anytime that you guys like don't have people to call, that's never really true. There are always people that we can call as managers. There's always people to call. All of you all, when you get a territory, we'll have a list of all these old people. You know, Taylor Rosenthal is literally because she got recommended the job by another branch, like by someone else in another branch office. Alex Arias took over that branch and she had the old PRs from last summer and she just didn't have anyone to call. So she called the old ones from the previous branch manager that was there before and ended up recruiting Taylor, number one rep in the division, or number two rep in the division last summer. So we're one of our top performers. But, this is the process too, guys, is you always have people to call, but you got to know how you're able to generate and build up those recruits during the summertime. All right, let me go ahead and do this. Questions, comments on that? Cool. How y'all doing, by the way? I want to go directly to spreadsheets and take a break, or do we need a quick break right now? We good to keep running through it? You guys good to get spreadsheets? And we'll take a break. All right, cool. So last thing that I'm going to go ahead and go over before we go to break here is I want to spend a little bit of time going over spreadsheets. So I'm going to recommend that maybe you guys try to follow along with me as I do this and as I walk you all through this. I'm going to just try to give everyone a real basic understanding of how to use Google Docs, Google Spreadsheets, and how to make the basics of making a sheet look nice and clean as you actually go through it. Okay. So the first thing is just understanding how Google Docs works. Okay. Give me a thumbs up if you have a general understanding of Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Sheets, that thing. Give me a thumbs down if you have a very little or low understanding of how any of that works. Cool. All right. So everyone's got mostly a basic understanding. Okay. Google Drive, all it is it's Microsoft Word. It's Microsoft Excel. It is and Google Forms, all just based on a cloud server. Okay. So this is really the modern virtual office environment. It is having the documents, but multiple people can access it and see it. And it's always on the cloud. So you can access it from anywhere. In fact, you don't even need internet connection access to it as long as it's updated on your actual cloud. So you have a drive, and that's the easiest way, in my opinion, just upload folders. That's how I share my TLA documents. And to do this stuff, it's really just as simple as going to your internet browser and you can just type in your Google is already set up with it as long as you have a Gmail. So I just type in Google Drive. Okay, into the Google, it will pop up right here and I'll sign in. I have all my folders. Just like anything else, you can organize this into different folders. You can have a bunch of random documents. Okay, I can have a folder for myself. I can also have a folder that is, shared with other people and other people have access to this folder. Okay, and I can see that here as well. So whenever you have a folder, by the way, if I want to, let's say our winter break BM documents, cool. So if I'm in this folder, here's a couple of things on how to navigate this. If I want to create a new folder, it's pretty easy. I just right click, okay, inside of a Google Drive folder. And again, all you have to do is type in Drive on Google and this will pop up if you have a Google account. If you don't, you can make one or attach the account. So then I can create a new Google Doc, which is just a Word document. I can create a new Google Sheet, which is a spreadsheet. This is like slides, which would be like a Keynote or a PowerPoint. And then this is a Google form, like a blank form and how to use one. Okay, I can create a new folder and organize these however I want. I can upload files. So Google Drive is pretty easy to use. I don't think I need to explain it too much. It's just literally keeping folders that you can share with people. To share something though, okay, you would come over to the little people button. So if you didn't know this, there's a little, again, there's a drop down here so I can share this, get link, move this to another location in my drive. I can star it. I can rename it. I can change the color. I can search. I can download the folder. Okay. This is how I share it with other people though. So whenever you share a spreadsheet, you can add someone by email. So I can add Jonathan Castell. If I do this, what's going to happen is he's now going to become an editor. So he's going to get an email with a link to be able to go in there and come in and edit the folder. The easiest way though, guys, by the way, a lot of times people don't see these emails. So I always just copy and paste the link to somebody versus just adding their email onto it because a lot of times I miss that. So down here, it will say get link. Okay, now you have to come in here and you have to hit change because if I do this, what's going to happen? The default is that the person is usually only a viewer. So they're not going to be able to do anything on the document. So if I want them to be able to come in and edit it, I have to come over here. I have to change this to be able to allow edit, copy link, and then I just, go ahead and text it to that person, and they'll have editing access as long as they have access to that link. They click on the link, they'll be able to pull it up and have editing access. The other great thing about this, guys, is if you use Chrome, all these things autofill. So if I want to go into pull up a spreadsheet, I can type in Spartans, boom, Miami Spartans marketing team, winter break. If I want to type in sales, Spartan sales management, boom. If I type in SMRA hiring, it's always right there. This is super easy. I can just type in my browser and boom, I have the spreadsheet up in seconds. And they usually autofill. I don't know if it does that with Safari, but it definitely does that with Chrome when you're using these sheets. And you can even see them as I'm like typing, if I type in winter break, okay, I've got all these different, documents I can pull up and have on here as well. And again, the same thing with sheets. You manage the folders the exact same way you manage a sheet, meaning there's all these people here that are the actual people that have editing access to it. If I hit share, okay, I could add someone by email, or I could down here and go change. This has already been changed to the editor, but I would do that, copy a link and go ahead and send it to someone. If you want to create a document as view only, so they can't mess with the spreadsheet, but they can see it, then you could put them as a viewer and you can send them that link. Okay. So here's what you're going to do. If you're on Google Sheets, this is how you can make a new spreadsheet. Okay. So this is very simple Microsoft, just how to use basic software, just like you're on a Google Docs or a Word document. It's the same kind of file, edit, view, that kind of stuff, formatting that you would have on any, Apple or Microsoft product. And what you'll do is, this is where you go to file as new. You can import a document. So if I have a CSV file or an Excel file on my computer, I can actually just go ahead and hit file and import, and I can actually just upload it onto it, and it will automatically format onto the spreadsheet if I have a downloaded document onto my computer. I also can just create a brand new one. I can make a copy of this. So if I wanted to make a duplicate copy, I don't really want to do that right now, but if I wanted to make a copy, okay, I can do this and rename it and create a copy for myself and then change the folder or location where I'm organizing it into. Okay, if I want, and then you can have some sharing features here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new spreadsheet. And I'll call this TLA example spreadsheet. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger zoom wise. So it's easier for you guys to see while you're looking at it. Okay. And again, if you guys notice how like the toolbars disappear as I make the screen smaller. If I make it larger, there's a lot of extra tools that are there. Okay. So these are all formatting tools. These are all things to make it look nicer and prettier. Okay. This is how you format everything. These are, again, formatting tools. So fonts, size, colors, italicize, and then this is like the organization of the layout. Okay, these signs right here are how you format what type of number it is. So if I put in 1,000, okay, check this out. If I put in 1,000 and I click this, that's going to change into a money sign. So if I'm organizing, I'm working with like numbers and money, I can make sure that it's formatted that way. So anytime that I type any number, it's going to type it out as a dollar amount. Okay, if I do this, this is going to change it to a percentage. So I had 1,000, which in percentage form is blank. So if I had 0.39 now, and I change this to a percentage, it's going to change to 39%. Okay, I might not want these little decimals here. So this is how I change the decimal. I can change that down to 39%, so it looks a little cleaner. If I'm working with like really big numbers, I could have all the decimals there. Okay, so this is just formatting that you can use. And then you can also go ahead and change it here, and there's other drop-down formats. So I could have it as a number, a percent, scientific, accounting, a date, okay, if I wanted to. I can have it as a time, and you can change the formatting for your numbers here. Okay, this is just a zoom in, zoom out, so I can see what's going on the screen. Questions on any of that stuff so far? Give me a thumbs up if you're following along this much. Cool. All right, next thing, let's talk about formatting. So here's the thing, as managers, you all don't need to know how to do complicated formulas. That's why I want to give you guys the basics of this, because it's as long as you know the basics, it's pretty easy. You're not going to be out here creating and crafting master formulas that you need to know and understand how to use on Excel. You don't have to do that. The most formulas you'll use is like add up the total of these sales, like add up the total attendance, like things like that. Like you're not doing anything crazy. The main thing you want to get good at is how do you make things aesthetically pleasing? Like how do you make it look good where you can share with people and it's also easy for people to read and understand. If things are all over the place, it kind of hurts with formatting. So let me go back to this sheet real quickly and I'll just give you, something like this. We'll do rep name. So this is like how to create a basic table. And I'm tracking how many phone calls each person made in the team meeting. Phone calls made. Okay. Demos booked. And then I want to have the average right here. Okay. Now, again, I can kind of make these smaller or larger. Okay. But you guys see how this is kind of not spaced out evenly the right way? So what I can do is I can go here and it's just like if you're texting documents, this will align on the right side, align on the left side. I want it aligned in the middle. Cool. And I can make these columns a little bit bigger if I need to, or smaller. Everyone following along? Cool. So this is how I align it, is in this guy right here. Then I'm probably making a table. So I kind of want to make this bolded. Okay. Here's a couple little quick shortcuts. I would write these down if you did not know these. I'm sure most people do, but I would not be surprised if some people don't. And this could save you a lot of time when you're doing things. Here's just knowing how to do shortcuts. Okay. Does anyone know? Everyone knows the copy. If you want to copy something, what the shortcut is for that? What is it?
Command C.
Command C is copy. Okay. Does everyone know what paste is?
Command V.
Command V. And I would know these like the back of your hand, because if you don't know these, like you're literally, if you're going to file, edit, copy, file, edit, paste every time you want to do something, like you're just wasting so much time. Okay. So command, all you have to do is I literally can let me just show you guys real quickly. Okay. I go down to here. If I wanted to make a copy of this, I hit Command C and it already copied. So what I'm doing here right now, by the way, is I'm going, I could also go down to here and hit copy, but you guys see how there's a little command signs here. So all I do is press Command C, that would copy it. So if I wanted to paste, I could click this button, but I can also just hit Command V and do that. I could also drag a selection area and Command V and paste it into all of them. Okay. Then does everyone knows how I just did that right away? I just undid that. That's Command what?
Z.
Command Z. Okay, so I can undo. And again, all these things are right here, undo, and you can see the keyframes, but these are good to know. Okay, the difference between cut and copy, cut takes it out of the box and moves it somewhere else. So that's Command X. So if I want to make a copy of something, I hit Command C, and I'm just making an extra copy of it. If I want to take it out and put it somewhere else, I hit Command X or cut, and then I would go down here and paste it. Cool. The other ones that you want to know is there's some formatting keynotes. So you can easily just do this, italicize, strike, color, whatever. You have all these tools up here, but there's also keynotes for all of these. Bold is Command B. Italicize is Command I. Strike through is Command Shift X. You don't use that one very much often, but just knowing how to bold stuff real quickly. Okay, cool. I want to make this bolded. All right, so then I'll go ahead and write down the rep names: Andrew, Bianca, Jeremy, and Ryan. Okay, see how the formatting's all off and they're back and forth? I'll have to take this and make them there. In fact, I'm making a chart, so if I want, I can just drag this whole selection and change it to this formatting so it's already done there for me. Okay, I don't want these bolded, so I'm going to unbold them. Okay, and then here's how many phone calls I made. Andrew's a champion. He made 100. But he sucks at the phone, so he only booked 8 demos. Let's see here, or just phone. I'll just change this to calls to demo ratio. Cool. See how that's cut off? I can drag this out, make it a little bit better. Okay. Bianca just made 20 phone calls. This person made 50 phone calls. Now, here's what I want to, or demos booked. It doesn't even make sense, but you get the idea. Here's what I also want to show you guys, okay? There's a cool feature here Well, actually, I'll show you guys this as the last one. So check it out. So there you have that 40, 40. Just trying to get an example. And they booked, 6 demos and 5 demos. Okay. So here's the first thing you can do for a formula. If you want to do a formula, it's a way of calculating things for you automatically, especially if I'm going to do the same thing for multiple of these people. So what I can do here is I can just hit the equal sign. That's how you do a formula. All right. And I can do different operations, addition, subtraction, division for these things. So for instance, if I wanted to multiply these numbers, okay, I use a little star sign. So I just say this 100 times, and then I click on this box, and I hit enter, and it does 800. If I wanted to do what the real ratio is how many calls that take them to book a demo. So it would be 100 calls over 8 demos booked, means their call to demo ratio is about 12.5. So here's the cool part. This is saying D3 divided by E3 equals this number. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing down here. I'm going to say D4 divided by E4 equals F4. D5 divided by E5 equals F5. But instead of retyping this out every single time, me going, okay, this divided by this, and then this is this divided by this. Okay, I can actually just come up here and take this little box here and drag this formula down. Watch. It just does the math already for me. So if I had a bunch of these, I could literally just take it and drag it all the way down. It would just do the formulas automatically for me. All we have to do is take this number and drag it down. You can also go across. Okay, so you can go drag down or drag across and it will auto populate the data. Now, this doesn't look that clean. So again, I'm going to do a little one of these and just have it round to the average. So it's a little bit cleaner. Okay. And then I also want to go ahead and put this into a box. So this is how you make the little boxes. This is how you make stuff pretty. Okay. Which is put these little borders around it. And if I do that, it makes a little grid on it as well. And you can change the thickness of these, by the way, by going over to here. And I can make this, okay, I want to make the outside really bold though. So what happens here is this would do it for the whole entire grid. But let's say I want the normal grid and then I want a big outside bubble. So I change it's this, and then I do an outside bubble. Cool. If I selected this and I change it to none of it, it would remove it. Okay, and then I want to reformat this. So I put this back there, but I have the bold one, so it doesn't really look good. So I would again go back to this, select the small line, hit the thins. Still missing this weird border because I messed it up. So I'll probably want to go back to this one, and I would choose the down one. See how that worked? And then I would choose the left side. Boom. Okay, so now I got a little box here, but I kind of want to make it good, look good. So I'm going to color code it a little bit. And all I'm going to do is take these and fill colors on it. Now, typically when you do it, you don't want to do like bright like this. I hate when people do like dark spreadsheets like this. It's not easy to read. You want to do colors, but you want to do like the very light colors. So I might do like a nice light blue. Okay, and then down here, I'll put these colors. I'll make it a light blue. Like that, cool. Now I got a nice little pretty chart. That works there. And if I wanted to, I could make this, another color too. I could make this like a slightly different blue. Okay, I don't know. That doesn't really look that great anyways, but you get the idea. If I wanted to make the whole background, a certain color, and I select all of this stuff, and I'm like, all right, let me make the whole background yellow, and then I'll come through here and make this purple, make this blue, and I'll make this blue too. Cool. And now I have that on a background. Everyone follow along? Cool. By the way, is this helpful so far for you guys? For you guys that didn't know how to do this stuff? Cool. This is one of the most valuable things, by the way. This is like a skill set that like I would highly recommend taking a class on this in college if you can. This is like actually like every company will have you do this. This is, CGS 101. Okay. But it's good to know how to do this stuff. Also, just be able to make sheets and make them look good. You can change the fonts for these. Okay. I can change this to lobster font. If I want to, I can drag any of these and adjust them and move them down. Now, let's say I have rep name and full address, whatever. That doesn't even work there. See how that's sticking out of the box now? It doesn't look good. here's one last formatting tip that you can do. Okay, this is called wrapping. So I can wrap the text, which means it's going to fit into the box the right way, and it will go upwards versus just going really long and out. Okay, so if I want to take all these and if I check this out, so if I have this and it becomes too small, it's going to stick out. But if I wrap the text, it will do it the right way. So if I wanted to make smaller boxes, I could wrap all of these. And if I drag this, it's going to auto adjust and it's not going to get messed up because I changed the actual formatting for it, right? The last few things that you can know too is this doesn't look really good. So what I want to do is I want to move this to the center. Okay, so I can move it to the bottom, the center, or the top. And you guys can see there's all these little symbols kind of show you what it's doing with the little symbols there too. But you guys have that option as well, and you can make that feature. The last things I like to use this for is, again, the auto-populating data. If you have something that's going down like this, I could literally, again, take it, and it will auto-recognize this. It will drag it down. Okay? If I have dates, let's say I'm doing TLA signups. So I want to do a date here, so make sure it's a date. And I'm doing 12/12/2020. Okay, then the next day is 12/13/2020. I don't have to type all these out. I can just take them and drag them, and it's going to figure out that it's just populated every single other day or two. So I can drag that out for all the days. I can type in Monday, Tuesday, and it will figure out that I'm going in chronological order, and I'm going to Wednesday and Thursday. You guys see that? So these are just easy little tips that can make things a little bit easier. And then when I'm done with it, I can share, right? I can make a copy of it. There's different things that you guys can do to add the formulas. The last formula I think is important to know is just know how to do a sum. So all you would do is like sum. So let's say I want to get the totals. Last thing I'll show you guys down here is totals. Okay, totals. I want the total of this. I can literally, number one, I can press the equal sign and literally just highlight the area that I'm talking about. Actually, I can't do that apparently. I can hit sum, and I can take the sum of this. So it's going to add it all together, give me the total. Now, I could type this here, or I could just drag it, and now it's calculating the sum of this, and it's got it all set up. Questions? Give me a thumbs up if this is helpful for you guys to actually see and understand how to use this stuff when you work with the sheets. Cool. Biggest thing I just focus on is just know how to use the basic formulas, and just the main thing is just how to make things look good and how to just like organize the sheets so you can see them as well. Making sure that they're formatted well so it's easy for you to read or for a rep when you're actually sending it to them. So we're going to go ahead and go to break, guys. It's 1 o'clock right now. We're going to go ahead and come back at, we'll come back at 1:10. And get ready to rock and roll. We'll do the last few parts today, which is social media proficiency and investing with Rachel Richards. Talk to y'all in a bit. Post your light bulbs in the chat, please.
I was in love with her. I was destroyed by all of that. You know, if it's happened to you, if you're listening to this and it's happened to you, then you'll understand what goes on. You're consumed with this sort of universe of grief. And it so crowds your head that you can't find any way around it.
Here towards last few sections. So last thing today, we're just going to do a social media proficiency talk on setting up your Instagram profiles. And then we're going to go over the get your financial shit together message here to wrap things up for the day. So we're going to talk about Instagram branch managers. This one is especially important for you all. I think about winter break BMs. Some of y'all are noticing, hey, people aren't responding to my messages on Instagram. This is a good little sign. Your profile does affect this. Now in the spring, what we're going to start doing is once people have their territories, we're going to start reviewing and walking through how to really build up your attack list and build your network in those respective territories. But the winter break is a really good time and opportunity to start getting your profile set up now, because you want your profile already looking good when you start trying to build your network in the spring. So the first step is actually getting your profile set up in the right way and making it look aesthetically pleasing. So by the way, Jonathan is going to give us a talk on this, just so you guys have a little bit of background on this too. Jonathan, some of you guys know this too, but the Growth to Success that they'll be working with, Jonathan is one of the founders of that. And he has, I don't know, does probably close to almost $1 million probably next year in revenue, just off of helping people with their social media. So he's really an expert in the space, can give you guys some goods on how to set up your profile the right way. This is not just a Cutco tip. Again, social media, this is one of those things where I hope you guys are learning this, because it's really, really valuable. You know, I remember the first time, I think it was when I went to 10X Growth Con in 2019. I remember that was when it really hit me, because I was going around networking with like literally sports players, and like just like I met some people in the NFL. I met people that own billion-dollar hedge funds. I met like a lot of like big time people when I was networking at this event. Did not receive or swap a single business card with anybody. Literally the first thing is like, oh, okay, cool. By the way, you got Instagram? Sweet. Just swap each other's Instagrams. That's it. You know, that's how people do business today. People don't even ask for phone numbers. They ask for like Instagrams. When I meet people, I don't even usually ask for their phone number. I just ask them if they have Instagram, you know, because there's a messaging feature on there. And when people go to your profile, they're immediately going to judge it in a couple seconds. And I'm serious, by the way, there's credibility with having followers. Like if I meet someone and I'm like doing a networking event, even if I'm on if I'm interviewing someone for a podcast, we get probably 50 requests every week or two for people to be on the show and be on the podcast. And when I have my assistant go through those, I literally just have them Google them and their social media profiles. Unless they've done something very significant and they're just now starting to get into the social media world and they just happen to not, maybe they're a CEO of like for instance, I interviewed the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, and he didn't have a big social media following, but that's all right. He's the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. I think it's okay. You know, that was a good person to have on. But other than that, I usually am like, hey, if they don't have like a social media presence, like if they don't have at least 10,000 followers, I'm like, I'm not going to bother interviewing that person. Like they don't have any type of following. There's no one. That's great that they've written books, but no one reads them. You know, they obviously don't have a very big following. When I meet people and exchange Instagrams with them, if I'm like thinking about it in a business context, if I'm talking to someone and they like, I open it up and they have like a shitty page or no photos or like 500 followers or like even really anything less than 10,000, I'm instantly making prejudgments. You know, the same thing happens too when people, I remember when I was at that event, first thing I did is they'd look me up and they'd be like, oh, you know, they'd make some kind of judgments or something like that based on the page. You know, this is again, when you are going to, if you're going to get scouted out for jobs outside of college, they're going to look up your social media. Even if you didn't message a sales rep, when you interview somebody, almost every time they're going to go to your social media and Instagram page. Okay. And I know it doesn't seem like that, but your Instagram profile will affect your show to training. Literally, your Instagram profile will affect your show to interview. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to get that email and say, oh, Nick Franklin's interviewing me later. Let me see if I can find him on social media. And they're going to go, oh, wow, this guy looks cool. You know, like this, I want to make sure I can show up this interview. Or they're going to be like, I don't know if I really want to interview with this person. Okay. And they're going to make prejudgments based off that too. So this is your brand. This is your personal brand that is out there in the world. It's your personal footprint. And you want it to be a good footprint, no matter what it is, whether it's for business networking, whether it's for recruiting, whether it's for getting hired or getting employed. Like, this is your social blueprint. So Jonathan's going to give you guys some goods on how to set up your social media page, how you structure it, how to make things look nice. Not about messaging, not about growing it, nothing like that, but just how to make it look good in terms of setting up your profile. So I'll turn things over to Jonathan Castell.
Thank you. Can I get co-host so I can go ahead and there we go. Stop sharing. Okay, give me a quick second to make sure I'm setting this up as well too. So let me do this, and that's good for now. Okay, cool, awesome. So social media proficiency essentially is the topic of today's talk, and especially with that in-depth introduction, I don't really think I need to prove why essentially this is important. I had a whole section of that. Mr. Evans, you just kind of went through every single bullet point. So guys, essentially, if you missed out on a couple things, the biggest thing that you guys need to know about social media, guys, is that it's taken over. Really, like, this is it. When we talk about like advertising sources, like before it was the radio, everyone was listening to the radio. That's where everyone wanted to be. And then the television came out, and then everybody was putting commercials on the television and so on and so forth. Well, guys, nowadays, let's just be honest. Who watches television? No one anymore, right? Like now and more ever, guys, you see more businesses taking more of their advertising dollars and budgets and switching them over from television and other sources to social media. And guys, the reason why is because it's growing at the fastest rate that it's ever grown. Instagram right now has over 1 billion active users every single month. Guys, that's 1/8 of the world. Every single month you can find on a single platform. It is the largest growing platform to date. And like, I don't know about you, but look, whenever we talk to a lot of like the actors or, the famous writers or, the models or whatever, like whoever's working with us with growth success, like they'll tell you this. And I'm going to tell you this, guys, as well too, from experience. Like, social media is your second resume. In fact, guys, we're getting to a point where your resume might start becoming obsolete, essentially. And social media and like your LinkedIn profile, your Instagram page, like that might actually take some more precedence and some more value over something like a resume. Because realistically, hey, like if I have a really, really nice profile and if I have a large following, that's going to be a whole lot more valuable to a brand, to a company, to an organization. If, hey, with me, I'm also bringing 30, 40, 50,000 other individuals into that company or exposing them to that company, that's going to be a whole lot more valuable than, most stuff that people have on a resume. And I'm pretty sure we know all those common jobs, especially if we've already been through the interview. So why, guys, in a Cutco sense, I also think about recruiting. Listen, I have too many stories, of why you want Instagram to recruit. Jada O'Neal, probably the top rep of the fall from our entire for Metro Miami, came from Growth to Success, came from one of our best social media one of our best AM social medias, essentially, and immediately our top rep from a top school as well too. In my own branch, over $150,000 in CPO, essentially about $30,000 in revenue came from social media recruits. In fact, my top rep from the summer, Kipu Kalani Cat, sold over $50,000 for the summer. Guys, he figured out the job by just going to my profile, looking in my bio, and clicking on the link. Didn't message him. He reached out to me to learn about the job because he looked through my profile and was like, hey, this guy looks pretty legit. Let me just check him out. Two things. His dad owns Dave & Buster's and he sells $50,000 in 1 month. So like, hey, when we talk about setting up your social media profile, it's not necessarily just for you to look good, guys. You want to be able to recruit, and not only just recruit, you want to be able to recruit the 5-star students. Anybody can recruit. Anybody can get reps through the doors, but the top managers can get the best reps through the doors. And I cannot tell you how much your social media profile has a lot to do with that. So we're just going to go over some basics, how to set up your profile. This isn't going to be too in-depth. This is going to be some basic stuff. Hopefully some of you guys are already doing this. Then after that, we're going to go over some do's and don'ts. So I'm not going to expose any of you guys, but there are some, I'm sure Mr. Evans sees this as well too. Mr. Jeff Gambeau would always talk about it, how in TLA, you could scroll through some of the TLAs, their Instagram accounts, and it's pretty obvious why they're not getting a lot of recruits from Instagram, or why they're not getting sharp applicants, or why that's really not working for them. And that could severely hurt you, especially over the winter break as we're trying to recruit, trying to hit Puerto Rico, and especially in the spring, which is what we're getting for prior to going out to branch. So some of how to set up your social media profile. First things first that I think about, guys, I think about the profile picture. And this was huge, by the way, especially as we were doing something called Facebook Jumpstart. So biggest thing is that whenever you're messaging, we're not necessarily talking about messaging, but whenever you're messaging, guys, the first thing that people see from your profile is your profile picture. The first thing people see about your profile, guys, is your profile picture. So do you have a good profile picture? A clear photo of you, a photo of you smiling, casual. I know Gigi, one of the individuals that are working with us as well too, one of our clients, her profile picture is a little more professional, white background, and so on and so forth. But do you have it one smiling? Do you have it casual? Another thing that I think about is making your account a business account. So the way you do that, by the way, is by going to settings, clicking on account, and then switching it to a business account. By the way, this is just so that you can actually track and measure and kind of see where people are looking at your profile from. This is once again just focusing on the numbers. One thing that I will tell you that I learned about this business, guys, and just in life after branching, is that this is all a numbers game. And the individuals who actually understand the numbers and know how to play them well are going to have the best results. So learning the numbers and using that to your advantage as well. Okay. So setting up a really good profile picture. One thing that I know that was always said for Facebook as well too is like, if you have a significant other, you should probably put them in your profile picture. It kind of helps as well too, guys. I'm talking to guys specifically, like when you're a guy and you're trying to message girls or trying to message for SMRAs, it really helps if you have like your significant other in that profile picture, so you don't look like you're just trying to slide into the DMs or something like that, essentially. So making sure that you have a really good profile picture. Once again, this is the first point of contact that individuals have with you. So making sure it's a good one. Making sure that your bio is set up. So this is my personal account. Some things that I like to have in your bio, essentially, just make it clear and cut. Have the area from where you're from. This is huge, by the way. Especially, for example, for me, being from Doral, being from Miami, and also messaging and reaching out to a lot of other people in Miami. Here's the thing, biggest thing that you want to create, or the easiest way to create trust within an individual, is to relate with them. So you guys can relate from being from the same place. That's going to be huge. So Miami, for me, I just put in pre-med. You don't have to do that and all that stuff. Office accolades in their office Instagram. I cannot tell you guys how many recruits I had gotten just because I had $1 million plus at Miami Spartans. Spark an interest. People click on Miami Spartans, sees a little bit more of the page, and then signs up, essentially. Well, not signs up, but they fill out an application essentially for me to call and give them a call for my summer. Cannot tell you. In fact, probably 20 of our reps came from just that. So making sure that you have that. I think like Tampa Bay has like, I don't know, 50 silver cups or something like that. They can brag or boast or something like that. So making sure that you're putting that. And essentially what that does, guys, is that's helping create legitimacy and a little bit of credibility as well too, and spark an interest. I like to check the story above. That's something that I had in during the summer. I don't have it now because I'm not really posting a lot of advertisements like constantly as much as I was, but checking the story above, essentially just telling people when they're getting on your page, click on your story, especially when you're posting a lot on there as well. But now accepting applications, 100% you got to do that, making sure that you're putting your website under the website section. And hey, now accepting winter applications. Like I said, that's how my number one rep, $50,000 rep, literally got into the job. And that's how a lot of top reps as well do it. After they kind of check out your profile, check out your office profile, and kind of go through there as well too. Okay, so that's pretty basic. You know, some other stuff that I'd say, guys, is just making sure that you're posting quality content. So what's quality content? Quality content, essentially, this is what I want you to write down. I want you to write down high quality. So high quality pictures, which I do understand that, you know, some people, you don't really have like a fancy camera, but guys, like an iPhone is a pretty solid camera. Like if you have an iPhone, or, you know, like most phones nowadays have a really, really good camera. So make sure you're putting out quality content. Another thing that I'd say is making sure that you're putting out, or I like to do this, showing pictures or content of you and your team as well too. So this is actually something that I have. I didn't necessarily plan for this, but down in the middle here, you can see kind of like a group of us, and there's some other pictures like that as well too. But posting pictures of you and your team as well, just having a great time. Like for example, I know later this evening, with in Metro Miami, we're about to have our winter break white elephant party. We're going to be taking some pictures there as well too. That is amazing for recruiting as well. Okay, high quality content, high quality pictures, and posting with your team and posting with other individuals. Personally, if you are going to an area in which you know people from, I would post pictures with those people just so that if other people that know them are looking on your profile as well too, they can see them. Once again, it's all about creating that trust. So when it's like, oh, that's a friend of a friend. Oh, okay, cool. He's reaching out to me. Hey, my friend knows him. I'm going to answer that DM. Okay. Now the do's and the don'ts, and this is pretty fun. So that's a little bit very, very basic stuff, you know, on just how to set up profile picture, bio, and just the type of content that you want to post. This is the do's and the don'ts. So we're going to start off with the don'ts. Okay. Now I'm talking to the guys here. All right. Don't do this. Now, this, by the way, these are two individuals that I know, one of which actually worked for me as well too. So yeah, we had a lot of PyLam kids in our office in Doral, but don't post pictures of you getting intoxicated with the boys, whether that's drugs or alcohol or anything like that. Listen, once again, like this is like your resume. This is what the first impression that people are going to have of you, essentially. Now, this might be cool or might look fun to your boys and your friends, but guys, like imagine that top rep, right? Like dad owns, for example, dad owns large company, right? Mom is also, you know, doing something amazing. They're getting constant offers, guys, offers from some of the top opportunities, basically nationwide, because they're in that space. You want to be able to compete. Guys, most of these individuals are looking for like prestige, looking for something professional, wants to make a name for themselves. I promise you, you are not setting the right tone by doing this at all. Ladies, please, ladies. Now here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing. We live in Miami, all right? So this is 365 days for the year. Okay, once again, these are people I know, so they're okay with this. But coming from a professional standpoint, okay, and especially while this might get you a few more recruits, guys, like this is not setting the tone for like how you want your office to be. You know, I think about like, hey, like when the reps come in, like what's that image of that they have of you? Right? Like, what's that first impression when they're walking in? Are they like, hey, like, is this going to be this amazing boss lady that's going to help me set up my life, give me certain opportunities? Or is that girl that looked pretty fine in a bikini picture that I just answered her DM to? So making sure you're doing that. Now, this is a really, really good example. So this is a great photo, you know, that you can have. Sharing your picture of yourself with your dog. So this would be a good example of what to have in an actual, in your actual, what do you call it? Now, as you can see, the rest of her profile is not what you want to have at all. Actually, so making sure that you're not posting any pictures like that. You know, I think about like pictures like this. Guys, please just spare yourself. You know, I don't know. This might be some guy in TLA. What is that? Adrian or I don't know. But listen, guys, just spare yourself the embarrassment. You know, especially if you want to have high quality recruits. Just don't go around posting pictures of like this, okay? So those are the don'ts, and please focus on this last one. As far as the do's, guys, I just
Is that a don't?
Who's that?
Was that a don't? I wasn't hearing. I wasn't listening.
This is the biggest don't. This is
Okay, all right. I'll go delete it real quick.
for sure. This is a good idea. Now, as far as the dues, guys, this is just our top, essentially just some of the top managers. Like, look at how the managers have their profile set up. Eddie De Las Cuevas, essentially everything that we were talking about. Profile picture, smiling of himself, right? District manager in Clearwater has his website in it, has his highlights set up, high quality content, pictures with his team as well too. That's actually the same picture I have. Alex Arias, same exact thing. NYU, where she's from, Sarasota, #1 division, posting accolades, now accepting summer applications. She kind of has to change that because winter now, but you guys get the idea. DM me for more info. You know, Andrew and of course Adrian as well too, having the same thing. Adrian, after you delete that picture, change it to winter after that as well, and then you can see kind of sharing the accolades. Adrian does a good example of posting pictures with the team. This is when we were at Cancun. This is when we were at Canada. This is I think after we won the Silver Cup or something like that as well too. And then of course, as you guys can see, high quality content. So essentially, guys, biggest things that I want you guys to take away from from this post or from this talk rather is that what you post on Instagram matters, especially nowadays in an environment in which social media is becoming it, where more and more eyes are on social media. I cannot tell you how many times I get off of a call with a rep, with a student or something like that, or get off of an interview and immediately they look me up. Immediately they give me a follow. Immediately they're liking. And by the way, there's only a small percentage that actually like, hey, well, that guy was cool. Let me go follow. I guarantee you everyone's looking you up. They're just not engaging, so you don't know. But everybody looks you up. In fact, sometimes after I get off the phone with reps, I'm like, oh, they're pretty sharp. I wonder, Gabriela Mendoza, who the hell is that? And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So they have a pretty good setup thing. Like, this is going to be a pretty sharp rep. Like, I'm doing that as a manager to my reps while they're doing it to me. So make sure you have it set up. Guys, make sure you're implementing these tips as well, too. Really focusing on those do's and those don'ts, taking those to heart. And then just focusing on some of the managers here that obviously get really, really great results with Instagram recruiting and emulating that for yourselves. So thank you.
All right, we're gonna transition on. Let's get some snaps, some claps, some thanks for daps here for our boy Jonathan Castell. Thanks for leading the way, giving us the goods on that. All right, ladies and gents, it is that time that we have all been waiting for. Okay, this past Wednesday, as we talked about it, we want to help you all, and this is going to be the tail end, but I want to give you guys some time to do this before we finish up with the last little section here, Money Honey, and we're going to go ahead and execute our three-way texting blitz now. So again, just as a review from our Wednesday TLA prep, everyone has their Google Sheets set up in the respective folder with your PRs that you recommended. This is the last event, the Fall Classic event. And over the past 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, your managers have been reaching out to these people, calling to get them scheduled. You should have already organized this sheet beforehand, but what you want to go ahead and do right now is you're going to go ahead and put yourself, that friend, and your respective manager in a three-way text. Now, you do not want to three-way text everybody on your list, okay? But you want to three-way text everybody on your list that they have not told us no, and we haven't set them up for an interview. So the people that are in the hiatus of like, we just never got a hold of them or never got around to them or never got them on the phone. Those are the people we're going to put in a 3-way text. Or maybe we got them on the phone, but we didn't schedule an interview. If anyone told us they are not interested, don't put them in a 3-way text. Okay. We don't need to reach back out to those people. But if I have 50 people on my list and I scheduled 5 of them for interviews, 10 of them told me weren't interested, I'm going to go ahead and execute 35 3-way texts right now. And those are the people I'm going to put in a group chat with the manager. So if you're in Miami, you want to put your, you want to do Jonathan. If you're in Tampa, I don't really know who you guys are doing it with in Tampa. I'm assuming Mike, but you might want to do it if you have a respective team captain. If you guys have specific AMs, those might go to certain people. And then if you are doing, if you're in Clearwater or Sarasota, you put it with Alex or Eddie, respectively. So what I want you guys to go ahead and do is take a few minutes. Actually, Jonathan, you're captain for Tampa. Tampa team needs to send it to the team captains. Whoever your team captain is who you'll actually put them in the 3-way texting script here with. And let me go ahead and post the 3-way texting. Adrian, do you have that 3-way text script on you by any chance?
I have to look for it.
Yeah, can you look for it super fast? Probably should have had that ready for you guys. Does anyone have that 3-way texting script on file? I can go pull it up. I'm not sure if Jess or anyone has it that's used it in the past couple days. Jess, do you have it on file, the 3-way text script? You can send maybe, or Rochelle.
Yeah, I just need 1 second.
All right, cool. Take your time. We're going to go ahead and send that script in the group chat. Send it to me first, Jess, and I'll forward it out. Just double check in. But take a quick second to get your sheet organized if you need to. We're going to get 5 to 10 minutes to do this. If you need to send out a couple last messages as we're going into Money Honey, you can. And then once you get your 3-way text out, go ahead and post into the TLA chat how many 3-way text you sent. And there we go. So I'll go ahead and send this in. Okay, by the way, if you're really close with them, feel free to change up the text message a little bit if you'd like. The main thing is you just want to make an introduction to them in that group chat with the respective manager. And then just take some time. You guys have the text message. Go ahead and we'll give 5 minutes to everyone to kind of start getting some of these out. Some of y'all might have a little bit extra that you're going to need to send afterwards. Some of y'all, we've already cleared through your list pretty heavy, so you don't have near as many to send out. Some of you all, if your managers hasn't really touched your list, send it out to everybody. We'll see what we can get. And this is what's going to create a massive surge for today and tomorrow to be able to get some same day people scheduled and set up for your Sunday and Monday interviews and set up our massive recruiting blitz day this upcoming week. So.
Understand, I fuck with you, I apologize. If you hear me now, hear me through. Understand, I fuck with you, but we got to find. If you hear me now, hear me through. Understand, I fuck with you, but we got to find. An understanding between me and you. If I understanding is mutual, I'm comfortable and you're comfortable. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm not alone. You're not alone.
All right, gang, I'm gonna give everyone like 2 more minutes. We can and out. You can still post if you have more to get out even after TLA prep, but I'm gonna make sure we get out of here on time. All right, crew. I know some people are still working on getting those 3-way texts. You can continue to do that for those y'all that I'm pretty sure probably everyone is still. We should have probably done it during a break to facilitate, so you guys have a little bit extra wiggle room, but continue to get those out. I'm going to go ahead and start playing the Rachel Richards video. Yeah, 97% of all mutual funds underperform the averages of the market. 97%. And by the way, then even though they underperform, then they also charge extra fees on top of it to have people actively manage their underperforming portfolios. So typically an index fund is typically the best way to go. Now, we're only watching 2 videos in here just because of time-wise for today. So one of the assignments before the January TLA prep, okay, we watched the first 2. There's about 20 more minutes of videos in here. And I think it's honestly going to be better if you watch these on your own anyways, because this is going to go show you how to make a trade and how to make an investment or buy a stock. Okay. And one of the assignments, which I'll queue up here in a second, will be to make your first stock trade in the market. So rather than me playing it for you now, and then you still having to go back and watch it again, I'm just going to give you guys this one as an assignment so you can know how to get started. There's about 20 more minutes worth of videos to watch on the Money Honey section before you get going here. But this is a really, really good chapter. It's really, really exciting that you guys have an opportunity to get in there and learn a little bit before we get cranking here. So we're going to transition a little bit into just what's important now, just to wrap up for today. So give me 5 minutes of your time and we will go ahead and close things off. Again, we're still going to need to have people facilitate the 3-way texting in the actual group chat. So I don't think actually anyone's posted up yet, which is no big deal because I know some of you guys are still wrapping it up. So that would be the first thing. As soon as TLA finishes today, finish getting those 3-way texts out. Don't wait to do that tonight or this afternoon or something else like that. Get them out now because they need time to sit and be able to respond so we can actually get them set up tomorrow. One of your first assignments will be to finish Money Honey module number 4. There's 3 or 4 videos left, about 25 minutes. And then the only assignments, by the way, between now and the next TLA prep is just the Money Honey assignments, which is just make your first trade. Okay. The other assignments are go out there and rock the Puerto Rico push. That's what we need to do and go out and actually accomplish now. And it all starts with the execution. The next 5 days, like we've talked about, the next 5 days are what matters. Now until the division meeting next Thursday at 4 o'clock, you have a Sunday Blitz recruiting day tomorrow in the office. And again, the expectation is that every single person in TLA is setting up at least 5 PRs, even if you're not an assistant manager. That's my expectation. Everyone in TLA is getting at least a little bit of practice, getting a couple PRs set up. Now, if you're an assistant or a branch, you should be gunning for 10 and 15. But we also got to get some demos booked up for tomorrow. The push started last week, but for a lot of you all on this call, you haven't really started pushing it because you're in finals mode. Well, then this Sunday should really be the big phone jam kickoff to your push. By the way, I'm already at $2,000 for the push. So if I'm beating you, if I beat any of you guys for the push, it's gonna be really, really sad. You know, I've already got a couple different orders online just for holiday orders. People are buying Cutco right now. It is easier to sell Cutco than any other time of the entire year. People are literally buying Cutco, spending money on the home and cooking. You just gotta get in front of them. So don't miss the window. You can sell after the break, but I'm telling you, the environment for buying is a little bit different after New Year's than it is right now when we're in the holiday season. It's really, really easy to make some sales, get the demos lined up. You just got to stack it up. And with our virtual environment, you know, it's really easier than ever before. And we're going to have a cranking up the heat contest this Sunday. So all you have to do is set 5 PRs. You'll get an entry into the raffle. Set 5 demos. You'll get an entry into the raffle. Okay. My expectation is that everyone at TLA is getting 10 set, whether that's 10 PRs, whether that's 10 demos, whether that's 5 PRs and 5 demos. Okay, but everyone in TLA should be getting 10 booked up tomorrow. Now, if you don't have any schedule or availability to do demos this week, that's fine. It'll be 10 PRs. You know, for a lot of you, although it'll be about 5 PRs, 5 demos. And again, that's the 10 is the standard. I want you guys in the mentality of, can I have a Sunday where I set up 15 to 20 people? Can I have a 20 set PR Sunday? Can I have a, hey, book 10 PRs and also get 5 demos booked up for myself personally? And we're going to be giving away, pulling out the budget on this one. We're going to be giving away 3 different prizes on Sunday, okay? Just to people that are in our division. This is just a division competition. Number 1, we're going to wrap off a free coaching call with Mike Lanzetta. Those calls are $500 a pop, okay? So we're going to give away a $500 call with Mike Lanzetta. He spoke at our Capture the Cup push event, and he got paid quite a bit to do so. So you can have a one-on-one coaching call with him. Could be really, really valuable for a lot of people. There's also the brand new DJI drones, Telos out. And this one I think just got released for the holidays. So we'll be giving away someone a free drone. And then there's also this other thing called a Xeon Smooth 4, which basically what it is essentially I don't have bigger photos. You can look it up. Things fire. It is a gimbal for your camera. So it's essentially a steady camera for your phone. But I know if anyone is into photography, content creation, or taking some of the Instagram conversation from Jonathan and actually putting it into practice, this is going to be a really fire gift and be helpful for you guys recording videos, content, taking photos, and it works really, really damn well. So that will be a cool thing to give away. All 3 of those prizes are being given away this upcoming Sunday. And honestly, if you don't want one of these 2, we might be able to swap it out for another prize of similar value. So all you have to do is get 5 PR set, get 5 demo set. And the main things, guys, coming out here are let's finish the push strong. I want to make sure we set a culture of discipline, a culture of sales performance. You know, this is an opportunity to fall in love with selling again. That needs to be a part of our culture is people that just love to actually sell, get out there and get in front of customers, build up your confidence, build up your skill set. And let's bring an absolute army with us to Puerto Rico. Ladies and gents, thank you guys for being 100% engaged today. Thanks for bringing in the heat. Please follow up and finish up the 3-way text. Enjoy your holidays. Let's have a blitz recruiting day on Sunday. We need more chatter in the group chats, more conversations going. And please make sure you don't forget to post by the end of the day or really in the next hour once you have finished sending out your 3-way text, post into the group chat. And we'll be marking those off on our spreadsheet. So have an awesome day, guys. I'll hang out if anyone needs me, but y'all are good to go. Talk to y'all soon.